What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
4 Mick. Chapter 86 Whitebeard. This is also the first time I have seen this kind of attack. You kid, you've gone too far. Marines are not vegetarians. How could Marco, Josie, and Beasta be held back by these miscellaneous fishes? Follow me and support you. Whitebeard said boldly. The transparent shock shield shone brightly and hit him hard. A huge crack suddenly appeared on the ground directly in front of Whitebeard. Marine, who was in the middle of the crack, was directly swallowed into the abyss by this huge crack. Whitebeard, Marco, Josie and others also quickened their pace and ran towards Yu at the front of the battlefield. On the battlefield, the three generals stood in three different directions around Yu, their eyes locked on Yu. Boy, you are too arrogant. With your strength, as long as you follow the large army, there is nothing we can do to you. I didn't expect you to be so trustworthy and go deep alone, but don't blame us for bullying the minority. Momosuke said seriously with a serious look in his eyes. Is this the first time for you to bully the minority? Yu said mockingly. The three generals immediately looked a bit ugly. As a marine general, which one of them could not guard the sea alone? But when their opponent is a terrifying guy like Yu, they must unite. We admit that you are a terrible guy, but we won't let you go this time. Aokiji narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Now the Warring States Fleet Admiral has personally given the order and can be killed on the spot if necessary. At this moment of life and death for the Marine, he doesn't have to worry about so much. General Kizaru's brown sunglasses also reflected a white light as he murmured. What a terrifying monster. We must go all out. After hearing the words of the three generals, Yu's face was filled with a smile. Hey, let me tell you, you three don't really think that we can defeat me together, do you? Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said jokingly to the three generals beside him. Stop talking nonsense, kid, it seems that the lesson you taught me last time was not enough. Momosuke murmured with his red lips moving slightly. Generals Kizaru and Aokiji also agreed with each other. Last time they were able to arrest Yu. This time the three of them cooperated more tacitly, and capturing Yu was no problem. Yu didn't look angry at all, instead he looked smiling. Forget it, you probably won't believe me when I say I lost to you on purpose last time. Let me show you my true strength. Yu said with a smile. Conqueror's domineering energy rises in his body, and the top of his head condenses into a huge Conqueror's giant fist again. Different from the last attack, this time Yu also mixed the ability of rock berries into it. The surrounding air seemed to be boiling, and the burning aura became stronger and stronger. The three generals looked at the Conqueror's giant magma fist above Yu's head and narrowed their eyes. Their expressions were no longer as calm as before, but showed a hint of horror. Kizaru opened his mouth slightly and stared blankly at Conqueror's magma fist above Yu's head, a flash of white light flashing through his brown sunglasses. What about the scary monster? This boy's Conquerors can also be equipped with devil fruit abilities. Kizaru murmured with the corners of his mouth trembling, and the reflection of his giant red fist reflected on his sunglasses. There was a cold air in Aokiji's mouth. He locked the giant red fist on Yu's head, and murmured, this is really the first time I have encountered this kind of attack. It's an unheard of attack method. We have to be careful now. This kid must be taken down. Momosuke on the side also said with a solemn face. After Conqueror's magma fist was successfully condensed, Yu rushed directly towards the Marine headquarters building. The entire sky was reflected red. Coupled with the influence of Conquerors, this shocked the entire Marine. A horrific attack. I feel an inexplicable sense of fear. What a weird attack, so scary. As this going towards the Marine headquarters building. There is important information from all over the world in there, which represents the peace of the world and cannot be destroyed by this boy Yu. Someone has to stop him, the terrifying Yu. The entire Marine looked at Conqueror's magma fist, which was red in the sky and full of explosive power, and started talking about it. Even Whitebeard, Marco and others who were facing Yu showed surprised expressions. I really didn't expect that boy Yu to have such an attack method. Whitebeard Edward Newgate said in shock. Dad, what is that weird attack method? Marco on the side asked curiously. To be honest, this is the first time for me, Whitebeard, to see such a weird attack method. Whitebeard said solemnly. What? Marco, Josie, and Beasta were all surprised. Even the strongest man in the world, who was as powerful as his father, had never seen this kind of attack. Is that guy Yu really that strong? Chapter 87 A Terrifying Blow, Beyond Rocks. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Looking at everyone's reactions, Whitebeard continued to speak. That's right, even my Captain Rox didn't master this terrifying attack. Otherwise, Rox would not have lost the battle in the Valley of the Gods. But based on my many years of combat experience, I can surmise that it should be a fusion attack between Conquerors and Devil Fruit. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and said seriously. The fusion of Hockey and Devil Fruit. The people around were surprised for a while. That's right, it's not a simple superposition, but a real fusion, giving Conquerors the ability to have Devil Fruit. Whitebeard Edward opened his mouth, with a bright light shining in his eyes. Gulu, Marco, Josie, Beasta, and the Whitebeard pirates beside them, were swallowing saliva like crazy. Such terrifying abilities are simply unbelievable. Regarding Yi Yu's ability, the Whitebeard pirates also read about it in the newspaper of the Economic News Agency. Although they don't know the reason, it is certain that this boy has a variety of abilities. A variety of abilities are combined with Yi Yu's already extremely domineering conquerors. This combination may increase the already terrifying Yi Yu's strength by several levels. Looking at Yi Yu's red conqueror's magma fist, Whitebeard swept away Kong Yunchi, directly sweeping away nearly 100 marines, and then laughed heroically. Kuhahaha. This boy Yi Yu is really surprising. Don't worry, little ones, the three generals combined will not be Yi Yu's opponent. Whitebeard showed a confident look and laughed boldly, said. Doflamingo, who was fighting on the side, directly used his fruit ability to control a marine major general. His fingers shook and he suddenly looked in the direction of Yi Yu. His eyes showed excitement and anticipation, and he opened his mouth excitedly. Where's that scary guy? Your future will definitely be dominated by you. Eagle Eyes Mahawk's sharp eyes like an eagle also noticed something strange on the top of Yi Yu's head. It seems that in that battle with me, you didn't even use your full strength. I admire this kind of powerful strength, Mahawk said with bright eyes. Morgans above the sky looked at the air boiling due to the heat, his eyes were extremely shocked. Yi Yu, you are really powerful, haha. Yi Yu may not fail in this battle. After saying that, Morgans took crazy photos of Yi Yu at this moment. Under the screen, the Red Conqueror's magma fist was above Yi Yu's head. Extraordinarily conspicuous. The magma domineering fist in the sky, controlled by Yi Yu's mind, slammed towards the Marine headquarters building. Under the powerful force, the surrounding strong wind was driven and extremely hot, and the air in the entire sky seemed to be burned. Oops, this kid's target is the Marine headquarters building, which symbolizes peace. We must not let him succeed, Aokiji said seriously. The cold air in the body instantly filled Aokiji's body, and even the moisture in the air around Aokiji solidified under the cold temperature. Ice Age. The powerful chill rushed towards Conqueror's iron fist, the magma transformed by Yi Yu, and the two came into contact throughout the sky. Sizzle. In an instant, a large amount of water vapor was produced in the contact area, and there was heavy fog within 10 kilometers of the contact location. A thick layer of ice gradually condensed on top of Yi Yu's magma domineering energy. Did you resist it? Aokiji gasped. Yi Yu looked calm. The next moment, the ice layer that had just wrapped the giant fist of magma suddenly fell off, and pieces of ice fell into Malinfando, smashing big holes one after another on the ground. Kizaru's eyes were solemn, he opened his hands, and a dazzling yellow light appeared in the middle of his hands. The yellow light turned into a sword of light under Kizaru's thoughts, Tien Kong Yun sword. There's a terrible monster, Momosuge, we must stop him. Even the extremely lazy Kizaru showed a shocked look at this moment. The sword in Momosuge's hand was already shining brightly, and he just waved it against the domineering magma giant fist in the sky. A terrifying red light slash, combined with the light slash released by Kizaru, rushed towards Yi Yu's magma haki. Aokiji concentrated slightly and used his fruit ability again. A cold light passed by, attaching a layer of hard ice to the slash. The combined slashing speed was astonishingly fast, and ripples appeared in the air one after another. At this moment, the entire sky seemed to be split. Boom. The combined attack collided with Yi Yu's magma conquerors in the sky, creating an extremely terrifying muffled sound. The entire sky seemed to be exploded, and the majestic aftermath was centered on the explosion point. Terrifying energy leaked out crazily. On the ground directly below the collision zone, a huge crater with a depth of a kilometer was actually created due to the aftermath. The clouds in the entire sky were washed away by the aftermath, and were scattered in the sky. Due to the impact of collision and friction, thunder and lightning appeared one after another in the entire sky, like a natural disaster. The entire Marineland was blown by strong winds, and the Marines on Marineland almost fell to the ground with their clothes swaying. Looking up at the sky, everyone was stunned in place. The horrific explosion actually caused a natural disaster. Monsters, only monsters can do this. All the soldiers in Marineford said in horror. Lieutenant General Ghost Spider held many long knives in his hands and looked at the sky, his lips trembling unconsciously. Even a lieutenant general of my level would probably be knocked unconscious by the explosion if he were near the aftermath. The terrifying energy. Sengoku, who was located at the rear of the battlefield, frowned tightly and picked up his telescope for observation. It must be delayed, otherwise, not long after this war started, the Marine Fleet Admiral would be forced to take action personally. Sengoku thought with emotion in his heart. However, the next moment, Sengoku's expression became extremely solemn. Within his field of vision, pieces of red magma domineering shattered and hit the Marine headquarters building heavily. Veins popped out on Sengoku's forehead. Although the magma haki could no longer be transformed, even the aftermath of those magma haki fragments was enough to destroy the entire Marine headquarters building. One of the world's most important secrets is hidden under the Marine headquarters building. We must not let this kid destroy it. Chapter 88 Three Generals, go and deal with Yi Yu. Sengoku, who wore a military cap with a seagull symbolizing Marine, shook his braided beard and exerted all his strength. The ground he stepped on collapsed instantly, and the huge force spread. The surrounding floor tiles, then it broke apart, and the broken pieces flew around. The Buddha Sengoku, who possesses the abilities of the animal-human fruit, phantom beast species, and giant Buddha form, activates his devil fruit ability, and his body suddenly increases hundreds of times, transforming into a giant Buddha. Sengoku glared like a King Kong, the yellow light was strong, the muscles on his arms swelled, and he punched the flying magma domineering fragments hard. A yellow shock wave appeared, creating huge ripples in the air. Boy, don't be too proud. Warring States, who was glaring like a diamond, roared. Boom, boom, boom. The yellow shock wave collided with the aftermath of Yu's magma domineering force, and a continuous explosion sound was heard in the area in front of the execution platform of Malin Fanduo. After releasing the yellow shock wave, Sengoku's body became weak again and turned into his previous ordinary human form. But Sengoku's eyes were still gloomy. At this moment, on the entire battlefield, Marine was completely one-sided. In addition to Yu who was charging at the front, there were still a large number of terrifying pirates wreaking havoc behind Yu. If it weren't for Marine's middle force, Ghost Spider, and lieutenant generals from Huoshuashan, I'm afraid the enemy's large forces would have rushed over like Yu. On the battlefield, Bullet and Walder were blocking the Killing God, and no one could stop the Killing God. Especially Bullet, facing the cannonballs in the sky, he directly chose to ignore them and resist with his body. Even a Marine general at the level of lieutenant general can be settled in front of Bullet with just a few punches. Although Walder does not look as powerful as Bullet, his Momo Fruit ability has killed a large number of Marines. Basically, hundreds of Marines will die every time they attack. Rains Shiryu, Crocodile, and Ace were in a stalemate with the three lieutenant generals Ghost Spider, Huoshuashan, and Doberman. The Shichibukai have also been killing the soldiers and generals of the Marine headquarters instantly. On the other hand, the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates are all safe and sound. The only pacifist war machine that poses a threat to them has also been killed by Mahawk and Hanku. K has been cleaning up. Lieutenant General he on the side narrowed his eyes, it seems I have to take action. A shaver disappeared in place, leaving only a breeze. Garp also raised his fists and prepared to join the battle, but was pulled back by Sengoku. Garp, don't act rashly. Have you noticed that Red Earl Redfield can't be found on the battlefield? It's very possible that that old guy knows the secret buried under the Marine headquarters building. Even if we fight, we have to fight next to the Marine headquarters building. Sengoku said warily, frowning. Only then did Garp realize that Redfield could not be seen on the battlefield, as if he had never been there. All we can do now is wait for support. Blindly charging into the battle may lead the entire battlefield to the most dangerous situation. Bullet and World Destroyer Wald, who were at the rear of the battlefield, looked at the shock wave of the Warring States period and showed excited expressions. That boy Yu is really a ferocious beast. The war has just begun and Fleet Admiral Sengoku has to take action. Walder said with emotion. We have to speed up the process. After saying that, Bullet, the tall and muscular descendant of the devil, directly activated his own fusion fruit energy. The entire ground was sucked up by gravity, gathered in the sky, and merged with Bullet's own body, directly turning into a giant humanoid beast. Can you block this punch? Bullet's rough voice echoed throughout the battlefield, and he punched the ground hard. Boom, the ruins splashed up, and a huge pothole suddenly appeared on the land of Malinfando. The Marines who were in the pit just now were all turned into meat in the pit. Boom, boom, boom. Bullet, in his giant form, kept attacking the Marine in front of him. For a moment, the entire Marineland began to tremble slightly. The white beard in the back saw Bullet's form, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. The kid on Roger's boat looks like he's grown up a lot, kuhahaha. Young men, don't let outsiders look down on our Whitebeard pirates, charge. Whitebeard Edward Newgate said with a heroic laugh. A ball of exploding energy gathered in his hand and was blasted towards the ground. In an instant, the entire Malinbando trembled again, and a kilometer-long crack in the earth appeared. Warring States, who was located in the rear, had extremely solemn eyes. Three generals, quickly deal with Yu and support the other troops. Warring States took out the trumpet bug and roared loudly. Now the Warring States period only hopes that the troops sent by the five elders can arrive quickly. Otherwise, by the time they arrive, the entire Malinfando may have been completely destroyed. Chapter 89 Conqueror's Three Swords. After hearing the order, the three generals did not dare to be careless. The fighting spirit in their bodies rose throughout their bodies. Even Kizaru and Aokiji, who were famous for their laziness, rarely showed serious looks. Scary kid, it's really not easy to take him down. This time I'm afraid it's going to be a fierce battle. Aokiji said with a chill in his body and serious eyes. Let's use the old method and break his defense first. Kizaru said in a rare serious tone. Countless light bullets actually gathered on Kizaru Tiankongin's sword, emitting a dazzling light. Momosugi also nodded solemnly. Although they won the final victory against Yu last time, it was only a narrow victory. They should not be careless when dealing with such a terrifying monster like Yu. General Momosugi also gathered the Ryuzakura haki in his body, pointed the tip of his sword at Yu, swung it hard, and an arc-shaped slash appeared. General Aokiji did not dare to be careless, his arms were filled with cold air, and the cold air turned into two ice crystal phoenixes. Double, ice cubes, violent pheasant mouth. Aokiji shouted, and the ice phoenix formed by his own arms rushed towards Yu. The three generals cooperated tacitly, and the three attacks simultaneously hit the same point on Yu's Conqueror's defensive cover. Boom. There was a terrifying explosion sound from around Yu, and a terrifying crater was blown out of the area next to Yu. The surrounding ruins were blown into the sky by the aftermath. The ripples shook and spread, and with the combined force of the three attacks, they actually fell into Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield, and only 2 decimeters remained between Yi Yu's eyes. Yi Yu slowly walked out of the explosion pit, showed a satisfied smile, and clapped his hands to the 3 generals. Yes, the power of the 3 generals working together is really terrifying. Even my Conqueror's defensive shield was almost broken by you, Yi Yu said in admiration to the 3 generals in front of him. The 3 generals showed confused expressions. This is unscientific. Remember that their combined force defeated Yi Yu in one blow before. Now they cooperate more tacitly, and the attacks they unleash are more powerful than before. They didn't even break Yi Yu's defense. Looking at the confused expressions of Kizaru, Aokiji, and Momosuke, Yoyu laughed again. Didn't I just say that you didn't really think that you could defeat me together before, right? Yi Yu said with a smile to the 3 generals. Momosuke's beautiful eyes showed a fearful look. Could it be that you were defeated by us on purpose before, and then got mixed into the great prison under the sea? Momosuke widened his eyes and said in shock. The corners of Yi Yu's mouth raised slightly, revealing a smile. It seems that among the 3 of you, the woman is the smarter. So, this time, you Marines are doomed. Yi Yu looked like he was sure that the Marines would be defeated. After saying that, the conquerors in Yi Yu's body rose again, strong winds blew up, and the surrounding ruins were blown up. On top of Yi Yu's head, 3 long swords condensed, each with a different color. There were 3 swords, red, yellow, and white, and the long swords were also mixed with strange energy. The entire sky became dim because of the power of the swords. Bolts of lightning struck from the sky, and the sky that was sunny just now suddenly started pouring rain. Under the powerful sword intent, the 3 generals of Marine headquarters also frowned tightly. These 3 swords gave them different impressions, but there was only one thing in common, and that was the terror of facing the sword's will. What about the terrifying monster? Is Conquerors mixed with 3 types of energy this time? Kizaru muttered as he stayed in place with his sunglasses flashing. Momosuke's eyes were shocked and he took 2 steps back. I haven't experienced this terrifying feeling for a long time. The cold air in General Aokiji's body emerged slightly, and he looked at the white sword in the sky with a surprised look. Aokiji, who has not yet received the latest investigation report on the battle on the 6th floor of the Great Prison, does not know about Yohane's freezing ability. How do you feel that that sword has its own ability? Warring States, who was at the rear of the battlefield, looked ugly and took out the trumpet bug. Listen up, 3 generals, it's not surprising that that kid has any abilities, so be careful. Now at the commanding heights of the rear, Warring States' face was full of ferocity, and a bad premonition appeared. Yi Yu showed a disdainful smile and continued to move forward. The tips of the giant swords above his head were aimed at the 3 Marine generals. 3 generals, just want to stop me. It's too early to be cruel, let me show you my true strength, Yi Yu. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 long swords charged towards the 3 generals as if they had consciousness of their own. Chapter 90 Garp takes action. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. The yellow long sword was extremely fast. It was because this Conqueror's long sword was blessed with the ability to shine. In just a blink of an eye, it drew a yellow light in the sky and rushed towards Kizaru. Kizaru's eyes widened with a look of disbelief on his face, and he opened his mouth in shock. It's so fast. This is also the first time in so many years that Kizaru has encountered an opponent whose attack speed is higher than his own. The yellow ape emitted from the body, and the entire body of the ape turned into the element of light, and it quickly evaded. Kizaru frowned tightly, and could feel that the yellow sword in front of him was not only extremely fast, but also very powerful. But the yellow sword seemed to have its own consciousness, and it strangely kept chasing Kizaru. Above the entire sky, 2 yellow lights instantly attracted everyone's attention. The yellow light in front was Kizaru himself, using his own ability to turn into a light element to avoid it, while the one behind was controlled by Yi Yu's mind. The domineering power of light. The second white domineering sword rushed towards Aokiji, mixed with the power of Yi Yu's frozen fruit. Wherever it passed, the entire sky was frozen. Aokiji sent 4 of his ice spears and blasted them at Yi Yu's sword, but with little effect. After the 4 ice spears came into contact with Yi Yu's ice sword, they were struck by a strange energy. To absorb. Feeling the icy chill of the surrounding air, Aokiji also showed a horrified expression. This is his own devil fruit ability. And it is above him. He had no moves at all. Are you kidding me? Aokiji's eyes widened and he said at a loss. General Momosuke looked at the blood-red sword above his head with a horrified expression, and all the haki in his body gathered on Momosuke Kinpira. Slashing at the blood-red sword intent in the sky, 2 energies exploded in the sky, and a hot breath hit his face for a moment, making Momosuke feel his face was burning. But Yi Yu's magma conquerors did not stop, but continued to slash hard at Momosuke. The exploding magma domineering sword gradually occupied Momosuke's entire field of vision. The temperature in the air is getting higher and higher, and the skin on the body seems to be evaporated. Momosuke, the weakest among the 3 generals, showed a horrified look and his red lips kept trembling. It's over. Such a terrifying attack will kill you, Momosuke said with frightened eyes. Morgans in the sky watched Yi Yu release 3 terrifying powers at once, and shouted excitedly. Terrible Yi Yu. This is Yi Yu's true strength. Even if it's Marine headquarters, any one of the generals can guard a sea area, and the three of them can't work together. After seeing this, Ellie, who was behind Morgan's, started to tremble with her fingers. Feeling these three huge energies, Garp narrowed his eyes and felt something bad in his heart. Warring states, if we don't take action, all three generals will be in danger. By then, even if support comes, I'm afraid we won't be the enemy's opponent. Garp, who was usually calm, frowned, with a solemn look on his face. After saying that, Garp shouted loudly. It disappeared directly on the spot. Warring states also had serious eyes and a strange expression. Garp, you be ********D, you're making your own decisions again. After saying that, Warring States also started his own Buddha form, and disappeared in just a few steps. As the new general, Momosuke felt the burning breath of death. At this moment, his hands trembled and his beautiful eyes were shocked. Sure enough, his current strength is not enough to be a general. Momosuke thought with emotion in his heart. Poor Momosuke, just after he became a general, he encountered an opponent of Johan's level in the first and second battles. This caused a huge blow to Momosuke's self-confidence. Just when Momosuke gave up resistance, a familiar figure appeared, with a marine uniform with the word, justice, fluttering in the wind behind it. Iron Fist. With a roar, the powerful armed domineering energy flowed on the Iron Fist, and blasted Conqueror's long sword at the magma in the sky. Boom buzz. Two huge forces collided in the sky. There was a huge sound in the contact area, and the surrounding air seemed to be shattered. The entire Marinavando was shaken, and the aftermath impacted the surrounding areas. The hot breath could even scorch the earth. Even Momosuke, who was a general behind him, had to activate his full-body armed haki to resist the terrifying scorching aftermath. Pieces of magma Conqueror's fragments were scattered everywhere. Each piece had huge energy. After these fragments fell to the ground, they exploded again, creating huge magma pits. Groups of Marines were directly impacted by the aftermath, and the entire ground the eyes are full of desolation. Chapter 91. The whole army is in command to rescue. On the other side, facing the white sword in the sky, Aokiji was completely desperate. No matter how he attacked, the ability he released would always be absorbed by the weird sword. Using all his strength, Aokiji put his hands on the ground. The icy chill circulated and all the moisture in the air condensed into ice. Ice Age, Aokiji shouted. An iceberg suddenly appeared in front of Aokiji, like a natural shield, protecting Aokiji. Aokiji rolled his eyes, still looking serious. Now, more or less, can you resist this weird attack? Aokiji said with a frown, while the dark armed color in his body flowed, protecting his whole body. The white long sword in the sky stabbed Aokiji heavily. Under the powerful sword intention, the surrounding air was solidified, giving people a cold feeling like Shinigami, and it collided with the iceberg in front of Aokiji. After the iceberg came into contact with the Ice Conqueror's sword released by Yu, there was a loud bang and it instantly turned into pieces of ice slag, scattered everywhere. Aokiji's expression changed greatly. Fearful guy, the huge ice shield condensed by my Ice Age can't resist Yu's offensive. Aokiji took a sharp breath and said in shock, wrapping his armor around his chest, preparing to resist Yu's attack. Attack! This is the only thing I can do at the moment. A ray of yellow light first struck in front of Aokiji. Aokiji looked confused. Could it be that Kizaru came to save me? Impossible. Kizaru is about the same strength as him. How could he avoid Yu's attack? Boom. The yellow shock wave collided with Yu's Ice Conqueror's giant sword, and the whole of Marinavando was filled with a huge explosion of air. Smoke and dust that were hundreds of meters high rose into the sky, followed by fragments of ice and Conqueror's great sword, flying everywhere. Every piece that falls conceal an area with ice, and a large number of Marines are directly frozen into ice. Be careful, Aokiji. Sengoku, who transformed into the form of a giant Buddha, frowned and spoke. Kizaru in the sky anxiously released his attack, but no matter what, his attack was powerless against the giant sword of light mixed with Conquerors in front of him. Cold sweat broke out on the anxious Kizaru's forehead. This time it was really going to be over, he thought helplessly in his heart. Just then, a very strong old man with a broad chest, tawny skin, and white hair and beard shaped like a mountain, appeared from the sky. There was a stitched scar under his left eye. He squinted at the giant sword of light in front of Kizaru. The weapon-colored domineering energy in his hand was entwined, and he struck the giant sword of light with a blow. There was a sound of air exploding in the sky, and Yu's giant sword of light was shattered to pieces by Gangji Yu Kong's punch. A large number of light bombs were blasted towards Malinfando, blasting huge holes directly on the ground of Malinfando, and smoke and dust rising hundreds of meters into the sky. Kizaru's brown glasses emitted a white reflection, and the corners of his mouth trembled. You are Cyborg Kong. That's great. Fleet Admiral Cyborg Kong. You actually took action yourself. Kizaru said excitedly. Cyborg Kong's strength is unfathomable. Even Garp Sengoku was once just a subordinate of Cyborg Kong. To be recognized by the world government and achieve the position of commander-in-chief of the entire army, one's strength is naturally unfathomable. Well, it looks like we've caught up. If I don't come here, I'm afraid the entire Marineland will be occupied by these pirates. Cyborg Kong actually jumped into the air, crossed his hands on his chest, and looked at the entire Marineland battlefield with a solemn expression. In an instant, from the rear of the battlefield, Garp, Sengoku, and Cyborg Kong all moved out at the same time, attracting the attention of all nearby Marinafandos. Garp. It's Garp. The hero of Marine is about to take action. Sengoku Fleet Admiral also took action personally, and now that boy Yi Yu is finished. Look at the sky, my god. I know that person, the former Marine Fleet Admiral, Cyborg Sora, who is now the commander-in-chief of the entire army. He is here too. Seeing this scene, the Marines of Malinfando showed excitement. Not long after, behind Gang Gukong, a group of masters came on the moonwalk. There are CP organizations with masks and mysterious faces, as well as scientific troops with all kinds of strange bodies. Although these people are not many in number, they are top-notch experts in strength. Kizaru looked at these troops with a confident look. Great, this time, we must eradicate these pirates completely. The white-bearded Edward Newgate, who was on the battlefield of Malinfando, had a downcast look in his eyes, holding the bush in his hand and looking into the distance. Incredible characters have appeared, Iron Fist Garp, Buddha's Warring States period, and even Cyborg Sora of that era have appeared. Whitebeard said with serious eyes. After Bullet punched the ground and punched a huge crater, he also looked at the sky. That guy, I think he's called Gangu Kong. Even Roger is afraid of this guy. However, Bullet didn't show any fear at all. Instead, he wanted to have a good fight with Cyborg Kong. The World Economic News Organization in the sky was shooting frantically at Cyborg Kong and the mysterious troops behind him. The news this time is even more exciting, ha 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 ha. Morgans said excitedly. However, no one gave him any response this time. Morgans felt something strange behind him and turned to look. The members of the World Economic News Agency, except for Ellie, all fell to the ground and were unconscious. Who are you, this guy? Morgan's eyes widened and he said in surprise. In this world, there is a mysterious CP organization that I don't know about. Do you know about it? Ellie, the president's secretary, lived up to her previous gentle appearance, and was replaced by a cold look on her face. Point the gun. Ellie's figure was as fast as lightning, giving Morgans no chance to react. The fingers were used as weapons, and they were directly inserted into Morgans' body. Drops of blood flowed from Morgans' abdomen into the ground, tick, tick. Morgans knelt directly on the ground in pain, the corners of his mouth trembling. World government, you despicable guys, when did you sneak into our World Economic News Agency? I didn't even know. Morgans murmured. The only one to blame is you shouldn't have appeared in this war. Ellie's red lips moved slightly and she said with narrowed eyes. All your actions are under the supervision of our world government. It's okay to make small fuss. This time the collective escaped from the great prison under the sea, Ace's public execution failed, and Malinfando was attacked by pirates. These things, the world government doesn't want outsiders to know. So, you'd better die, Morgans. Ellie said lightly, and at the same time, she took out the pistol in her hand and pointed it at Morgan's head. Chapter 92 Kaido appears in Malinfando. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Just when he was about to pull the trigger, the next moment, the entire birdhouse suddenly began to shake violently. The mechanism in the house was activated, and a huge wooden board appeared, sending Ellie flying out of the birdhouse. The birdhouse hot air balloon in which Morgans was located accelerated rapidly away from the battlefield. Ha 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 ha, you are the dog of the Draco. I, Lord Morgans, still have the final say in the underground press. I will announce this important news to the public. You can imagine how much shock the world will be shocked by the news in my hands. Ha 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 ha, Morgans said with a triumphant smile after knocking the CP organization away. At the same time, Morgans also took out his trumpet bug. All camera crews evacuate, all news crews evacuate. Morgans roared loudly. Tap tap tap. Ellie, who was shot flying out, was walking on the moonwalk in the air, looking at the hot air balloon gradually moving away, her face still calm. Morgans, the president of World Economic News, really has a few mistakes, but... Ellie showed a weird smile. Just when Morgans was far away from the battlefield, 10 hot air balloons suddenly exploded, reflecting a fire in the sky. On the battlefield, an entire army suddenly appeared. Fleet Admiral, Cyborg Kong, 3 masked men from the CP organization, and a 100-person technological transformation force. Gang Gukong's muscles exploded all over his body, and he looked at Yi Yu on the battlefield with a solemn expression. Did this boy deliver the blow just now? Faced with a guy who was so young and whose strength was so terrifying, even Gang Gukong felt a little afraid. Each of the 3 people in the CP organization wears a weird mask. The leader is wearing red clothes and a one-eyed mask. One of the 2 people behind is tall and has an explosive hairstyle, and the other is wearing a wide hat. Very short stature. The 3 CP organization figures did not speak, but quietly observed Yi Yu in front of them. 100 technological troops, with different shapes, mutants with 3 arms, half-orcs with dragon scales, and future warriors full of black technology. Yi Yu narrowed his eyes. He didn't understand the strength of these combat powers in previous animations. Dark clouds suddenly formed in the sky, and thunder and lightning appeared one after another, hitting the sky above Malinfando. A green dragon suddenly appeared in the sky above Malinfando. Dragon! That's a dragon! The Marines of Malinfando exclaimed. The Whitebeard on the battlefield also narrowed his eyes, feeling this familiar feeling. Kaido, this guy like you actually showed up. Whitebeard put the konganchi in his hand across his chest and murmured. Sengoku on the side also showed a surprised look. Kaido, why did Kaido escape from the great prison under the sea? Garp looked at Kaido in the sky and frowned slightly. Did this guy run out of the great prison under the sea for revenge? Although Kaido is not as strong as himself, he is still very strong in resisting beatings. There is still no problem in holding down a top powerhouse. Gang Gukong clenched the fist in his hand, showing his composure without anger. I let him out. S-level emergency defense plan, unite all forces that can be combined, naturally including the criminals of the great prison under the sea. There was lightning and thunder in the sky, and heavy rain poured down on Kaido, making Kaido even more arrogant. Ha ha ha, Cyborg Kong, I suggest that we focus on the troublesome guy Yu first, and then take care of the rest slowly. Kaido's huge dragon head smiled sinisterly and spoke sinisterly. Gengukong frowned, squinting and looking up and down at Yu. This guy is indeed a greater threat than Whitebeard and us. Sengoku, order Marine to contain the pirates, and we will launch a large-scale attack on Yu. In order to create an opportunity to kill Yu, now all Marines are going crazy. Stop the pirates in the rear from supporting Yu and kill Yu first. This is their Marines' only chance. Whitebeard, who was charging, heard Kaido's words and showed an angry expression, looking at Kaido in the sky with contempt. Kaido, you despicable guy. Whitebeard roared, and the ground beneath his feet cracked. A transparent ray of light shined across Kongyan, which contained terrifying shocking power, and struck the giant dragon in the sky. An ice wall suddenly appeared, blocking Whitebeard's blow. Ice Age. White cold smoke emerged from the corner of Aokiji's mouth, and a wall of ice rose from the ground. I won't let you move forward anymore, Whitebeard. Aokiji took a deep breath, his eyes changed, and he spoke coldly. Boom. Transparent vibration energy exploded on top of the huge ice wall, and the entire Malinbando made a destructive cracking sound, and pieces of ice fell from the sky. Marine, who was under the huge ice block of Marinavando, looked at the huge ice fragments in the sky that blocked the sun, showing a horrified expression. You will be smashed to death. The Marines below opened their mouths and said in horror. Wash all things. A gentle force suddenly appeared, using the huge ice fragments to gradually melt them and turn them into soft snow water. Feeling the snow water washing over them, these Marines were instantly purified. It's Lieutenant General He. Thank you so much, Lieutenant General He. Crane, wearing Lieutenant General Marine's coat, a light blue shirt, a white patterned purple tie, suit pants and leather shoes, walked slowly over. Whitebeard showed a bored expression. Humph, another troublesome guy. Ha ha ha, have all you old monsters taken action. I will prove to you, Roger, that I am the strongest. After saying that, Bullet basically headed towards the back of the battlefield in the direction of Garp. Rumble, rumble, every time Bullet takes a step, the entire Marineland will tremble. A giant lieutenant general wanted to stop the huge Bullet, so he took out the huge shield in his hand and charged at Bullet. You must not be allowed to interfere with Lord Cyborg Kong and the others. Bullet looked at the giant lieutenant general in front of him with a disdainful expression. Weak people don't deserve to live in this world. The dark-armed color flowed on the huge fist, and it hit the giant lieutenant general hard. Under the powerful impact, the shield of the giant lieutenant general was directly crushed, and even the people were driven into the ground. There was a bang. The dust was thrown up to a height of 100 meters. Chapter 93 The Real Strong Are Not Afraid of Time. Walder also wanted to move forward, so he took out a cannonball, magnified it 100 times, and threw it towards a group of Marines. Don't stop me, I want revenge on them. Walder roared at the CP organization. Looking at the huge bomb covering the sky, all the Marines were stunned with fear. There is no way to dodge such a terrifying attack. The Marines said in horror. Wash all things. A soft force appeared, and the huge cannonball, which was 100 times larger, misfired and turned into a piece of wet clothes. A-hole, Crane, don't stop me. Walder roared at Crane. I'm sorry, Mr. Walder, I won't let you go. Lieutenant General, he said calmly, still with a gentle look on his face. Mahawk's eye on the battlefield. Mahawk noticed the situation at the rear of the Marinavando battlefield. After several flat slashes, a jet black slashing light appeared in the entire sky. Buzz. Rush around. The Marines who were surrounding and suppressing Mahawk nearby were directly swept away by this powerful slashing wave. 2 thorn spears of ice. The cold air behind Aokiji was overwhelming, and 2 ice spears with cold light were generated from Aokiji's back. The cold ice spear stabbed the charging Whitebeard. The next moment, a jet black slashing wave fell from the sky. The ice spear that was shot at Whitebeard at high speed was directly smashed to pieces on the spot. Aokiji frowned. There was only one person in the world who could perform such a terrifying slash, and that was Mahawk, the world's greatest swordsman. Mahawk, you have to pay the price for betraying Marine. Aokiji locked eyes with Mahawk and said angrily. Mahawk pointed the black sword in his hand at Aokiji, and opened his mouth slightly. It's you Marine, Aokiji, who pay the price. I don't think you will fail. Mahawk said proudly. Mahawk, you guy, you really helped me a lot. Hoo-ha-ha-ha-ha. While Aokiji was stunned, the Whitebeard laughed boldly and rushed directly in the direction of Yu. Shiryu of Rain looked towards the rear of the battlefield, showing a bloodthirsty expression. This battle is really interesting. There are so many strong men. You'd better take care of yourself first. The ghost spider roared. Countless blades slashed at Shiryu of the Rain. Shiryu of the Rain defended himself with a single sword, surrounded by swords and sword shadows. As the Marine approached them, the pirate was cut off on the spot. Rain Ace, Crocodile, and Huo Shaoshan also fought with Doberman. After Doflamingo used his thread fruit to kill a pacifist, he looked towards the rear of the battlefield with veins bulging on his forehead. This is a gamble. I hope you won't lose, Yi Yu. After killing the pacifists, Heavenly Yaksha handed over the important task of protecting the Whitebeard pirates to Hancock. Heavenly Yaksha stepped on the silk thread in the air and flew towards Yi Yu like a bird. In order to prevent the rear from supporting Yi Yu, groups of Marines rushed forward desperately. Marco, Josie, and Beasta are all Marines with various titles. Among them are Lieutenant General Maynard, Dalmesha with a dog head mask, Second Sword-style Marine Lieutenant General Stockerberg and Gumir, Kesha with a scar on her left eye, and many other mainstays of Marine. Hey, foil Beasta, don't be distracted. Your opponent is me. As a two-sword-style person, I am honored to be your opponent. Lieutenant General Stockabelly, who once participated in Buster Call, curled his lips. He said calmly. Josie, Beasta, you cover me, I will fly over in Phoenix form to support Dad and Yi Yu and the others. Marco said anxiously. Barbaric charge. Foil sword. Josie's body was covered with shining diamonds, and he cooperated with the foil Beasta to strike with two swift attacks, creating a gap for Marco. Relying on his flying ability, Marco turned into a blue flame and rushed towards the front of the battlefield between Whitebeard and Yi Yu. On the battlefield, Gang Gukong showed a look of disdain. Although some people have broken through our blockade, they can still kill Yi Yu. After saying that, the three masked men from the CP organization behind Gang Gukong, as well as 100 scientific and technological troops, disappeared in an instant. 3 people from the CP organization directly blocked Bullet's path. Hey, you're Bullet, let's be your opponents, don't blame us for bullying the few. The 3 masked men said expressionlessly. Bullet laughed arrogantly. When will you, the dogs of the celestial dragons, know how not to bully the minority with more? Ha 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 ha. On the other side, Marco and Heavenly Yaksha were in the air, dodging shells one after another, but were stopped by 100 technological troops. Marco and Heavenly Yaksha both showed surprised expressions. Does each of these guys have devil fruit powers? They all have the ability to fly. The two said in shock as they looked at the technological troops of different shapes. Being able to fly is just a basic ability. This unit was researched by Vegapunk himself. It has technical means that are 500 years ahead of the world. A yellow light appeared, and Kizaru revealed his true form and murmured. Marco and Heavenly Yaksha had cold sweat on their foreheads. With the general adding 100 strange troops, it would be difficult to move forward. Whitebeard waved the cloud cutter in his hand, and rows of Marines were thrown away at will, and were finally stopped by Garp. Hey, Whitebeard, we haven't seen each other for many years. How about we have some fun? Garp said with narrowed eyes. With a roar, he punched out. Iron Fist. Not to be outdone, Whitebeard raised the supremely sharp sword in his hand, Kong Yunchi, and struck at it. Garp, you guy, don't stop me. Whitebeard said with a grin. A huge noise occurred in Malinfando. The top-level armed Iron Fist collided with Kong Yunchi, who had a white beard and a shock ability. The feet of the two were directly squeezed, and stone bricks rose into the sky. Smoke and dust that reached a height of 100 meters rose into the sky, and the entire Marineland trembled violently in an instant. The collision between the two lieutenants produced an extremely bright light, and bursts of white lightning in the sky kept hitting the ground. The strong fighting spirit of the two enveloped the surroundings, and the groups of Marines beside them were blown away. The powerful aura made Gangu Kongdu show a shocked expression. It seems that time will not leave any traces on the truly strong people. Chapter 94 Set Fire Yi Yu. But, we won this war. Warring states, let's kill Yi Yu first. Gang Gukong said seriously. Boy, I didn't expect that you would die here just after you went to sea, ha ha ha. Kaido in the sky also laughed arrogantly, fell to the ground and turned into a human form, holding the mace in his hand and grinning at Yi Yu. At this point, the encirclement and attack on Yi Yu was officially formed. The 3-person encirclement and suppression composed of Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, and Kaido were many times more powerful than the encirclement and suppression of the 3 generals. 4 powerful waves of fighting spirit rose near the execution platform of Malinfando. At this point, the attack on Yi Yu officially began. Ha 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 ha. World Government President Handsome Cyborg Sora, Marine Headquarters Fleet Admiral Sengoku, 4 Emperors Kaido. Facing the 3 of you, even I, Yi Yu, have to think hard. Yi Yu said lightly with a smile, without any panic in his eyes. Don't worry about me, I, Yi Yu, will deal with these 3 people myself. Yi Yu said to Whitebeard and others who were blocked and fighting fiercely behind him. The entire Marineland was in an uproar. The Marine elites next to Yaga all widened their eyes with disbelief on their faces. What did this kid just say? It seems that he has to face Kaido of the 100 Beasts, Fleet Admiral Sengoku, and World Government Army Commander Cyborg Sora all by himself. The surrounding Marines swallowed their saliva and said in shock. Bullet, who was not far away from Yi Yu, was infected by Yi Yu's fighting spirit. He roared and activated his strongest form. Bullet's muscles exploded, he activated his awakening state, and merged with all the buildings on the island to form a supergiant monster half the size of the island. It became even bigger than before, and the whole of Marinafando suddenly became violent. Nowadays, Malinfando has been completely destroyed by these powerful men. There are huge pits with a depth of several hundred meters and ravines with a length of thousands of meters everywhere. Ho, how could you steal the limelight, Yi Yu, I am the strongest. Bullet roared. Yi Yu's courage has quietly changed Bullet's heart. Bullet has begun to be wary of Yi Yu. Bullet's competitive character has made Bullet determined to perform well on this battlefield. Armed domineering energy circulates throughout the whole body, and the attack power begins to reach its most powerful form, hitting the three masked men in front of him with a single blow. The entire Malinfando trembled violently because of the monster's attack, but the three masked men mysteriously disappeared from the spot. With the help of Marine's six-style shave, he disappeared directly from the spot. Bullet showed a look of surprise and shock, turned on his sense of sight and captured the three strange figures. I didn't expect that your Tianlong people's dogs are not weak at all. Marco on the battlefield kicked a technology soldier away with a kick, and Heavenly Yaksha also sent out his own colorful thread, just grabbing the technology soldier in front, and a pool of blood followed, in the sky. Although there are many in number, the power is very weak. Marco said disdainfully to the strange warriors in front of him. But the next moment, Doflamingo showed a surprised look. No, Marco, look. Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo said with a frown. The wounds of the two warriors they had knocked down before actually emitted sizzling white smoke. After the white smoke passed, the two expressionless technologically modified warriors stood up again. Are they all devil fruit users? Marco said suspiciously. Obviously, the abilities of these two people are very similar to those of myself and Kaido, and they should belong to the animal system. To deal with this kind of resilience, you must use powerful force to kill with one blow. This seems a bit tricky. Kizaru on the side laughed and narrowed his eyes. I'm not afraid to tell you that your death date has come anyway. These warriors are all Vegapunk's transformed people, and their abilities have been transformed through technological means. Doflamingo showed an ugly expression. He just owned a Caesar and could create artificial devil fruits. There is no doubt that Vegapunk's technological power is many times stronger than Caesar. It's not surprising to be able to transform people with devil fruit abilities. It's very possible that these people are several times more powerful than Kaido's givers. Whitebeard on the other side was also constantly fighting with Garp, but due to age and illness, Whitebeard was already panting slightly. As for Garp, a muscular man who has focused on physical exercise for many years, it seems that time has not weakened him too much. Whitebeard spoke to Yi Yu while fighting. Boy, don't be brave, especially that cyborg Kong. His strength is unfathomable, Whitebeard said worriedly. Yi Yu shook his head helplessly. His original plan was to let the Whitebeard pirates and the others pick up the leaks at the rear of the battlefield, but now, the Whitebeard pirates and the others were worried about him. One by one, they rushed to the most dangerous areas for themselves, and chose very strong opponents. Don't worry, old man, I can do it. These people are already in my plan, but you, be careful, Garp is not simple. Yi Yu narrowed his eyes and said, the conquerors in his body was like a sea. It surged. Looking at the confident Yi Yu and feeling the surging conquerors, Whitebeard is no longer worried. Whatever he says at this time, he will look a bit mother-in-law. Hoo-ha-ha-ha. Boy, you are really yours. Even Cyborg Kong is in your plan. Then you let me take a good look at your strength. Don't worry about me, I can deal with Garp. Whitebeard said boldly. Say points. After saying that, the shaking energy in his body was mobilized on the fist that was not holding Kong Yunchi, and he hit Garp with a fierce blow. Yi Yu's words angered Kaido of the beasts. Kaido frowned and veins popped out on his forehead. What an arrogant boy, do you know who you are facing? Kaido roared angrily. Oh, what's wrong, Kaido? It seems that the last time I hit you wasn't bad enough, this time it's itchy again, right? Yi Yu said with a smile on his face. After hearing this, Kaido's face turned red. He was immortal. Kaido had never been so angry before. However, if his defense had no effect on Yi Yu, there was nothing he could do about it. You be asterisk 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 D, I will definitely avenge you last time. Kaido, the most grumpy among the three, took the lead in charging forward with his mace. Purple lightning streaks in the sky hit Kaido's mace, once again adding some power to Kaido's weapon. Thunder, Ming, Ba, Gua, Kaido roared angrily. Carrying bursts of purple lightning, Kaido jumped up, his armament turned to the extreme, and blasted towards Yi Yu. Boom! There was a powerful explosion in the air. The area around Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield was filled with purple lightning, and the ground outside the defensive shield was shattered in a mess. The defensive shield rippled, and Kaido's mace only sank 2 decimeters away, unable to move any further. You really don't have a long memory, Kaido, but I don't have the heart to play with you right now. Yi Yu said lightly. Chapter 95 Discover Yi Yu's weakness. After saying that, Yi Yu raised his hand directly. Shinra Tenzheng. The powerful Conqueror's body began to tilt outwards due to Yi Yu's defensive cover. In an instant, a 10th level wind blew throughout Marinavando. The powerful aftermath directly knocked away the marines within 10 kilometers of Yi Yu. Kaido understood Yi Yu's moves, and after using his mace to strike thunderous 8 trigrams, he was so frightened that he quickly evacuated from the explosion point in Yi Yu's center. In an instant, 2 figures flashed past, and a large yellow Buddha statue appeared in front of Kaido, with his hands stretched out in a defensive posture. Big Buddha form. Warring states roared, and the yellow giant whose body swelled up like a glaring King Kong sent out 2 giant Buddha shock waves, resisting a large amount of aftermath. However, even if the Buddha form is turned on, coupled with the 2 shock waves, it is difficult to withstand the leakage of Yi Yu's conquerors. During the Warring States period, the wind was messy, and the braided beard was blown off by the aftermath. There was a burst of sweetness in the mouth and a mouthful of blood was spit out. The expression of Sengoku, who was messy in the wind, was extremely shocked, and he slowly shook his lips. Are you kidding? The power is so strong that even my Buddha form can't resist it. Warring States said in disbelief. Steel Bone Kong on the side took action almost at the same time as Warring States. The already exaggerated muscles on Gangu Kong's arms were completely swollen at this moment, and veins like earthworms popped out on his arms. Steel Bone Kong's whole body was filled with fighting spirit, and the surrounding earth was cracked into pieces. The top-level Liang domineering energy gathered in his hands, and he punched Yu hard. The sound of the fist is like thunder, and the power of the fist is like thunder. The fist has not yet arrived, but the power has been released. Liang's domineering energy directly turned into a pitch-black fist, which collided with Yu's aftermath. Boom. The aftermath partially offset by Sengoku collided with Cyborg Kong's attack again, and a violent explosion occurred in the middle. The entire Marinafando trembled again, and a huge crater with a depth of several kilometers directly exploded in the middle of the two people. Dust from the surrounding ruins was flying all over the sky, splashing up to 1,000 meters away. The dust dispersed, the bones were empty, and the figures of Sengoku, Kaido, and Yu gradually emerged. Yu still looked like a normal person, with his hands folded in front of his chest, looking carefree. The three Kaidos turned against each other. Except for Cyborg Sora, who was not injured, Kaido and Sengoku Kakuzu shed a trace of bright red blood. The Warring States period glasses were filled with white light, and he frowned tightly, thinking about something. Kaido was panting violently, with lingering fears. Yu's Conquerors was even more powerful than before. If he hadn't known about Yu's attack method and quickly evacuated after releasing the Thundering 8 trigrams, coupled with the protection of Cyborg Kong and Sengoku Fleet Admiral, he might have been killed long ago. Shocked to death. So terrible. If he and Yu were duel, there is no doubt that Yu would be able to kill him in seconds with just one move. Kill 4 emperors instantly with one move. Who can do this in the entire sea with this kind of strength? Kaido's eyes showed a look of horror. This is already an existence that surpasses rocks, right? With unimaginable surprise and shock, everyone on Marine Fando turned their attention to Yu's direction. The Marines were especially shocked. Each of them widened their eyes and looked dull. It's so terrifying. In a battle between extremely powerful men, even the whole of Marinafando can't withstand their blows. How is it possible? Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, and Kaido, the three of them, fought against Yu and actually came up short. Whitebeard, who was fighting Garp, also looked sideways slightly. Garp on the side also stopped swinging his iron fist and looked at Yu. Whitebeard laughed boldly. Kuhahaha. Yeyu, you kid really didn't lie to me, you are a terrifying monster. Now you can actually do this. Whitebeard said excitedly. I really should be lucky that I invited this brat onto my pirate ship 10 years ago. Garp on the side had black lines on his forehead. Although Yu, this kid, looks harmless to humans and animals, when it comes down to it, he is no less harmful than rocks back then. Sengoku, let me help you. Garp moved, preparing to use his 6-style shave to help Sengoku. Garp wanted to intercept, but a big knife suddenly appeared in front of him and swung it towards him. Garp hurriedly started to use his weaponry, and his dark fist resisted Whitebeard's blow. Under the huge force, although Garp's legs did not bend at all, Garp's legs were smashed into the ground, and cracks suddenly appeared on the ground. Hoo-ha-ha-ha-ha. Garp, your opponent is me, don't be distracted. Whitebeard said in a good mood. Now the mood between himself and Garp has changed completely. Whitebeard is no longer in a hurry to help Yu, but Garp is in a panic. The previous siege against Yu was now beaten by Yu, and it suddenly turned into Yu's massacre of them. Damn B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Veins popped out on Garp's forehead. Even Garp himself couldn't get away. The angry Garp punched Whitebeard again. However, Garp's mentality has quietly changed, and he keeps looking in the direction of Yu from the corner of his eyes. Yu's counterattack directly boosted the morale of the Whitebeard pirates. Ace, Josie, Beasta and others who were fighting with various lieutenants also slowly exhaled and concentrated on dealing with them. Kill the enemy in front of you. On the other hand, among the Marines, many of them were already wary of war. At the place where Yu fought, Gang Gukong's body muscles surged, and his eyes were locked on Yu. Terrible attack. You guy, Marine can't let you go, you must be killed. Cyborg Kong said with a cold expression. Yu looked at the three of them with a smile on his face and spoke jokingly. What can you do if you don't leave me alone? You should kill me instead. Yu said with a smile. Kaido was so angry that veins popped up on his forehead. Ever since he became the 4 emperors, he had never been so aggrieved even when faced with Whitebeard. You, B************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** The people here, including Kaido, want to kill Yi Yu and Ishui Shame, but they just can't do it. Cyborg Kong ignored the furious Kaido and turned to look at Sengoku, who was standing aside. How is it? Have you analyzed the battle plan? Zhujiang Sengoku narrowed his eyes and stared at Yi Yu. In the battle just now, I turned my awareness to its highest level, and finally found a clue. Kaido and Cyborg on the side became interested and looked eager. Oh, tell me, the two people said excitedly. Chapter 96 Cyborg Kong's Ultimate Armament Color. Even Yi Yu on the side did not plan to attack again, but was prepared to hear what weaknesses Warring States had discovered in him, and why he didn't know it. Do these people know themselves better than themselves? According to my analysis, every time Yi Yu releases Shinra Tianzhong, the Conqueror's defensive shield in his body will disappear for a period of time. Although that period of time is very short, if we can seize the opportunity, we can defeat him. The Warring States period glasses began to emit a white light. After Yi Yu heard this, he still looked calm, thinking that the wise general of the Warring States period had discovered some big secret. That's it. Kaido on the side frowned. But if he doesn't release Shinra Tenzhang, there's nothing we can do against him. Kaido asked suspiciously. Sengoku spoke again. One more thing, Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield, although powerful, is not invincible. The three generals have already experimented with it before. Our attacks are at the same point. If the power is strong enough, we can attack Yi Yu's body. When we can attack Yi Yu's body, whether Yi Yu maintains the defensive shield form or starts the Shinra Tianzhong attack form, we can hurt him. Yi Yu on the side showed an indifferent look and clapped his hands towards Warring States. The analysis is good. My Shinra Tensei is to release all the Conquerors in the body's defense shield at once to achieve the maximum destructive power. But, are you really able to defeat me just because you see this? Yi Yu said with a slight curl of the corners of his mouth. Facing Yi Yu's indifferent attitude, Kaido's heart was shaking again. Don't be fooled by him, Kaido, he is weakening your will. Cyborg Kong said seriously with muscles all over his body. Attack again, Kaido. Sengoku also shouted to Kaido. Kaido had a dark look on his face. These two guys are really hateful, they are the first ones to attack every time, he is the most dangerous one. Kaido, don't worry, he doesn't dare to release Shinra Tenzhang anymore. Your defense is the strongest here, so it's most appropriate for you to attack. Sengoku encouraged Kaido from the side. Bastards, Yi Yu and Marine are not good guys. Kaido cursed secretly in his heart. But there is no other way, even I was released from prison because of Cyborg's amnesty. I have the lowest status here, so I can only take the lead. Recalling all the inner trauma Yi Yu had caused to his heart before, Kaido began to transform into his half-beast form. The sky was covered with dark clouds, dragon scales appeared directly on Kaido's body, and Conqueror's was wrapped around the dark mace. Come to the third world and lead Naraku. Kaido roared loudly and jumped into the sky. Bursts of purple and black lightning struck the mace. Kaido held the mace in both hands and slammed it down towards Yi Yu. Whitebeard, who was fighting on the side, looked slightly solemn when he saw Kaido's attack. He surrendered to the third world to attract Naraku. This move was Kaido's Conqueror's entangled attack method. It seemed to be more powerful than before. There was a huge roar again, like rolling thunder, roaring in all directions, and the air in the sky seemed to be shattered. This blow hit Yi Yu's defense shield, causing ripples in the defense shield around him. Outside the defensive cover, there was a mess everywhere, the ground was cracked, and bursts of lightning kept hitting around Yi Yu. Kaido struck with all his strength, and this time the mace finally penetrated a distance of 25 centimeters. Even at such a short distance, it was difficult for Kaido to support him. The powerful reaction force inside Conqueror's defensive shield made Kaido's hands tremble. However, Yi Yu did not release the terrifying attack skill of Shinra Tenzhang. Kaido was overjoyed, which showed that Sengoku's deduction was very correct. Hurry up, I won't last long. Kaido reminded hurriedly. Behind him, the Warring States period and the commander-in-chief of the entire army, Gangji Yukong, were dispatched almost at the same time, showing an unparalleled tyrannical momentum in their bodies. Sengoku started his great Buddha form again, and released another shock wave at the part where Kaido's mace had attacked Yi Yu before. A large number of ruins flew all over the sky under the shock wave. Except for the defensive shield, a huge hole was directly blasted out under Yi Yu's feet. The shock wave hit Yi Yu's defensive shield and rushed directly into a distance of 6 decimeters, leaving only 4 decimeters away from Yi Yu's cheek. Yi Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield began to shake violently, and waves came one after another around him. It's just that close, Commander Steel Bone Kong. Warring States said excitedly. The combined attack of himself and Kaido actually penetrated most of Yi Yu's defensive shield. Looking at it this way, coupled with Cyborg Kong's attack, it is really possible to break Yi Yu's defensive shield. Cyborg stepped on the air with his bare feet and stepped on the moonwalk, the jet black armed color flowing all over his body. The terrifying armed color domineering, even the skeleton of Cyborg Kong can be integrated into it. The powerful physical strength, coupled with the powerful knowledge color and arm color, this is the reason why Cyborg Kong can be proud of the heroes in the previous era. Black Bone Dragon. Cyborg shouted in the air. The terrifying armed Sakura Haki actually took on a physical shape and turned into a long jet black dragon, with jet black lightning all the time surrounding it. Warring States on the side narrowed his eyes. The years have not left any trace on the body of Commander Cyborg Kong. The ultimate armed color has appeared. Garp murmured. You must know that both you and the Warring States period were led by Cyborg Kong. It was only after you saw Cyborg Kong's ultimate armed color that you gradually understood the mystery of the ultimate armed color. That is to say, after witnessing the power of Gangji Yukong, he gradually joined the ranks of the strong, and the title of Iron Fist Garp came from this. In some aspects, Gangji Yukong can be regarded as half of his master. Whitebeard, who was fighting Garp, showed a shocked look. As this, the ultimate armed color. Based on Liu Ying, it is a further enhanced attack method of armed color. Whitebeard said with his mouth wide open. Bullet, Walder and others who were fighting all showed surprised expressions. Armed color can actually be cultivated to this level. Bullet said with emotion. Walder also narrowed his eyes. That guy Cyborg Kong's sword is still young. I wonder if they can break that guy Yi's ultimate conquerors. Chapter 97 My Conqueror's Immortality. On the battlefield, Marco and Doflamingo looked at the technological troops in front of them with headaches. These people not only have strong recovery power, but also have the ability to fly, as well as laser cannons, flames, freezing and other attack methods. They are like a composite of some inferior devil fruit ability users. Looking in the direction of Gangu Kong, he was even more shocked. It seems that Yu is right. The foundation of world government's 800 years of rule is definitely more than just Marine's power. Doflamingo also opened his mouth wide, surprised. A strong man from the past era. He is indeed not that powerful. The ultimate armed color. Against the ultimate conquerors, I really don't know which one of them will win. On the battlefield, the dark black bone dragon swung its tail, and strange black lightning continued around it. Taking advantage of the shock of Yu's defensive shield, he rushed over again. Boom! A loud noise sounded around Yu, like a nuclear bomb exploding. The ground under Yu's feet was directly exploded, causing cracks that were as deep as the bottom, and all the land outside the defensive shield collapsed. The length of these cracks was even more bizarre, reaching tens of thousands of meters. The land with a radius of 10 kilometers shattered and shook. The collision zone produced extremely terrifying energy, armed colors and Conqueror's crazy leaks. There were strong winds, lightning, and heavy rain all over Marineland in an instant. The ground began to tremble violently, the entire sea roared, and waves several feet high continued to hit Marinafando. General Kizaru narrowed his eyes, swallowed the saliva in his mouth, and spoke slowly. It's really unbelievable that one can achieve the destructive power of such a natural disaster without relying on devil fruit. At this time, the Marine headquarters building also began to tremble violently. If the material used in this building was not stronger than the mixed seastone material of the great prison under the sea, it would have collapsed by now. A red light flashed in the eyes of the Red Earl, and with his ultimate sense of sight, he could sense the situation on the entire battlefield even without looking. Cyborg Kong. Although I defeated you, this guy, seriously injured me because of this move. If it weren't for the damage caused by your move, how could I lose to a mere newcomer Garp? The Red Earl said with cold eyes. Now when I think back to that battle, I still feel scared. After saying that, the Red Earl had no intention of going to the battlefield, but walked straight towards the depths of the Marine headquarters building step by step. On the scene, the energy of Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield really dissipated in place after the collision with Gangu Kong's bone dragon. Kaido, Buddha of the Warring States period, and Cyborg Kong all showed expressions of surprise. Great. Yu's defense has been broken by us. This boy Yu is not truly invincible. Kaido roared with excitement as he held the smoke stick in his hand. The tightly furrowed brows on Buddha's serious face finally relaxed, revealing a look of joy. Great, my analysis is right. Yu's Conqueror's defensive shield can still be destroyed by extreme power. Cyborg Kong also took advantage of this moment to issue orders to Sengoku and Kaido. Seize this moment and kill everyone around Yi before his defensive shield is formed. Leave no one alive. His threat to the world government is too great. Cyborg Kong said fearfully. If he doesn't take action against Yu at this time, he will really have no chance in the future. The conquerors on Kaido's body rose up, and the conquerors wrapped around the dark mace, revealing a ferocious face. He held the mace tightly with both hands and hit Yu hard. This stick was mixed with Kaido's inner anger towards Yu for so long. Boy, I will definitely kill you this time. This is what will happen if you offend me, Kaido the Beast. Kaido the Beast's face was deformed under his angry expression. Warring States once again activated his Buddha form, conquerors wrapped around his fists, looked down at Yu, clenched his fists tightly, and struck down at Yu. Before the fist arrived, just the wind of the fist made the surrounding area freeze, and even the air seemed to be shattered by this punch. Your game is over, Yu. You are the first person to bring our Marine headquarters into such trouble. The Golden Buddha roared angrily. Gangu Kongye was full of fighting spirit, and with the mentality that he would kill Yu with one blow, he hit Yu hard. The three of them took action at the same time, showing extremely powerful killing intent. Three terrifying forces intertwined and hit Yu's head hard. This time, Yu will be killed. Kaido roared loudly. The next moment, Kaido's mace suddenly stopped 1 millimeter away from Yu, and the iron fists of Sengoku and Cyborg Sora also stopped 1 millimeter in front of Yu's nose. What is this? Kaido said confusedly. On the side, Warring States and Cyborg Kong looked at Yu with their mouths wide open with surprise and shock on their faces. What exactly is going on? Do you still have a layer of defense? Warring States said in disbelief. I saw blue flames rising all over Yu's body, and the immortal flame in charge of recovery would automatically turn on the moment Yu's conquerors shattered. At this time, a layer of undead conquerors will appear 1 millimeter around Yu. This layer of defense is not only 10 times more powerful than Conqueror's defensive shield. And it also has some characteristics of the Phoenix's ability, it is immortal and will never die. Even if someone could destroy this immortal conquerors, it would still be rekindled like a flame at the same moment it was almost destroyed. This is also Yu's ultimate defense move, but maintaining these endless immortal conquerors requires consuming his own energy all the time, so Yu directly chose to wait for the conqueror's defensive shield to be destroyed and automatically turn it on. In this way, you have a double defense. After your conqueror's defense shield is destroyed, the immortal conquerors will automatically open. In this way, you will be in a protected form at all times, and you will not consume too many conquerors. The Marines on the battlefield saw this scene of Yi Yu, and each of them showed a look of despair. 4 Emperors Hyakju Kaido, Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku, and the commander of the entire army Cyborg Sora. These 3 people joined forces and didn't break Yi Yu's defense. If these 3 can't break Yi Yu's defense together, then who else in the entire Marine Corps can be Yi Yu's opponent? Why are there such terrifying pirates? Garp showed an incredible expression after blocking the blow of Edward Newgate with his fist. Even a strong man like Garp swallowed his saliva and fell into a daze. Chapter 98 Defeat 3 peerless experts and join forces. It is possible that Sengoku and Kaido were unable to break through Yi Yu's attack, but Cyborg Kong, with his abnormal physical strength and extreme armament, and his leader in Marine, unleashed the power that terrified many previous generations. Even one move didn't break Yi Yu's defense. Even Whitebeard looked surprised. Yi Yu, what level of real strength have you achieved, can't you even tell me? Whitebeard said with emotion. On the battlefield, Marco and Kizaru kicked each other, and the yellow light was strong, and the whole air exploded. Noticing the situation on Yi Yu's side, the 2 of them turned their attention over. Marco's eyes widened and he couldn't believe the scene in front of him. Captain Yi Yu, why does this blue flame feel so much like my phoenix flame? Kizaru also looked in the direction of Yi Yu with a surprised look on his face and opened his mouth wide. What about the terrifying monsters? How is it possible? How is it possible that anyone can withstand the fatal blows of those 3 powerful men? Bullet, who was fighting, also showed an expression of surprise and shock. Yi Yu, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Just wait, I will target you and surpass you sooner or later. Impressed by Yi Yu's strength, Bullet has put aside his previous idea of targeting Roger. Now Bullet has redefined his life direction, to surpass Yi Yu. The entire Marine Fando was shocked by Yi Yu's battle. Yi Yu successfully withstood the joint attack of Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, and Kaido, which also greatly boosted the morale of the pirates. Although the number of pirates was small, at this moment, an unparalleled fighting spirit broke out. The pirates on the entire battlefield of Marineland were killing each other loudly, and Marine was already in decline. Looking back at the main battlefield, Yi Yu yawned, his face full of worry. I told you guys, can't you try some new tricks? Such combination attacks are useless to me. The reason why I didn't attack Kaido just now is because I was waiting for all 3 of you to enter my maximum attack range. Yi Yu said lightly. After saying that, a layer of Conqueror's defensive shield once again appeared in Yi Yu's body, covering the entire area within 1 meter of Yi Yu. Goodbye then, boring guys. Yi Yu said lightly with the corner of his mouth raised slightly. Shinra Tenzhang. The newly generated Conqueror's defensive shield produced a dazzling light, and the Conqueror's inside once again leaked out towards the surroundings crazily. The 3 people who had used their full strength just now were not yet stable. Facing Yi Yu's attack at such a close range, they were unable to dodge for a while. The 3 of them are just waiting to mobilize their armed colors to cover their entire bodies for passive defense. But this is of little use for Yi Yu's Conqueror's leak. In the face of absolute attack, any defense is useless. In this Shinra Tianzhong, Yi Yu also specially added the power of magma, and the destructive power was even greater than before. There was a loud bang, deafening, roaring in all directions. The clouds directly above Yi Yu were blown up, leaving a huge hole, as if the sky had been exploded. Thunder was rolling, and heavy rain was pouring down desperately. The powerful aftermath swept through the entire battlefield of Marinefando. The entire Marinefando was filled with hurricanes. Even the building of Marine headquarters collapsed under the impact of this strong aftermath. After the building landed, it turned into ruins, blown by the wind. A mess. The power of the magma mixed in it swept through the aftermath, burning holes on the ground. The entire Malinbando seemed to have been attacked by a group of meteorites. At this moment, the seawater completely rolled up and poured down on Malinfando. Aokiji had no choice but to use Ice Age to stop the surging waves. Yi Yu's blow left an indelible mark on the deepest souls of everyone in Malinfando. On the battlefield, the entire Marine Fando people were completely stunned. They were all thrown to the ground by the strong wind, looking at the damage Yi Yu had caused to the entire Marine headquarters with shock on their faces. Ghost Spider, with a solemn face, looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief, and spoke suspiciously. How is this possible? Is this still human power? General Kizaru even stopped his attack and looked at the collapsed Marine headquarters building with a strange expression on his face. How is it possible that someone with such a powerful attack power could collapse the Marine headquarters building, which has been reinforced with sea stones countless times and symbolizes peace, just in the aftermath? Under such a terrifying impact, even a legendary strongman like Gang Gukong from the previous era wouldn't be able to withstand it, right? Sure enough, no matter how hard Kizaru searched, he could not find the whereabouts of Cyborg Kong. Mahawk, after cutting off Aokiji's ice wall with one knife, looked in the direction of Yi Yu, with a look of excitement and admiration in his eyes. Yi Yu, you are really too powerful. From now on, I have to discuss swordsmanship with you, ha 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 ha. Diamond Chaozi also showed a very exaggerated expression, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and the corners of his mouth slowly trembled. I really didn't expect that Captain Zero of our pirate group would be so terrifying. Is the strength he showed before just the tip of the iceberg? The Red Earl, who was in the darkness of the marine building, held a shining fragment in his hand and showed an expression of joy. Ha ha ha, I finally got you, the Uranus key fragment. At this time, the entire building shook violently and finally collapsed. The Red Earl closed his eyes, turned on the ultimate color of knowledge, and showed an extremely surprised expression. I really didn't expect that. I didn't expect that Kaido of the 100 Beasts, Sengoku Buddha, and that D*********** D Cyborg Kong, the three most powerful men couldn't shake Yu together. What a terrifying guy. Even the original rocks may not have been so powerful. The Red Earl had a look of fear in his eyes. But, fortunately, I got the Uranus key fragment. Hehehehe. No matter how powerful the manpower is, it is impossible to defeat Uranus, including you, Yu. The Red Earl smiled crookedly. Said. Finally, he transformed into a vampire bat, escaped from the ruins, and flew far away. The ruins all over the sky finally dissipated, and Kaido's figure appeared. Impacted by this powerful force, Kaido, who was closest to the explosion point, was directly thrown into the Marine headquarters building. At this time, he was lying in the ruins, with blood flowing from the corners of his mouth, and his eyes rolled back and he was unconscious. Warring States was collapsed and embedded in the ground. The earth was cracked and he slowly got up. Shock was revealed in Warring States' eyes. If I hadn't entered the Great Buddha form, my body's defense would have increased tenfold. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to hold on at this moment. I really didn't expect this kid to still have this absolute defense after the Conqueror's defensive shield disappeared. Warring States touched the blood on the corner of his mouth with his hand and said with shocked eyes, Chapter 99 Surrender. Let's talk first. Only Steel Bone Kong was still standing barely, his muscles all over his body were covered with scars, and his eyes were locked on Yu. That scary guy, even rocks, can't beat me into this state with one blow. Gang Gukong said with his chest rising and falling violently. Yu smiled slightly. How's it going? Do you still want to fight? You too. Yu took 2 steps forward and said calmly. Looking around, the entire Malinbando seemed to have suffered a natural disaster because of this war. The entire earth was almost on the verge of collapse, with bottomless cracks spreading all around, and the pits were burning with flames. The sea roared angrily, pouring down on the land of Marinabando, and groups of marine pirates were washed away by the sea. The entire Malinbando was full of ruins, and even the clouds in the sky were blown away by the energy. Cyborg raised his fists in the air and wanted to fight Yu again. Yu showed a disdainful look, his body was filled with conquerors, and a huge conqueror's hammer appeared in the sky. Above the giant hammer, a layer of dazzling white light shines, giving people a very uneasy feeling. Feeling the weird light, Whitebeard narrowed his eyes, opened his big mouth and laughed wildly. Hoo ha 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 ha. What an interesting kid, can you still have my abilities? Garp on the side looked at the huge conqueror's hammer in the sky, feeling the terrifying oppression and completely despairing. If this blow hits Marinabando, I'm afraid the entire marine headquarters will be destroyed. Garp opened his mouth wide and said. This is much more powerful than flattening a mountain with one punch. Hoo ha ha ha. You are right Garp, I advise you to surrender. Although Whitebeard looked a little tired in the battle just now, Yu encouraged himself so much that his fatigue disappeared completely when he was in a comfortable mood. Mahawk also widened his eyes with excitement on his face. Here comes Yu's terrifying blow. This time, it's even more terrifying than the sword intent of Cricon Island. Mahawk said with shocked eyes. There is no doubt that this blow will definitely. General Aokiji, who was fighting Mahawk, had a hint of coldness at the corner of his mouth, widened his eyes, and looked at the vibrating hammer above Yu's head in disbelief. Aokiji swallowed the saliva in his mouth, looking surprised. This is too scary. If this hammer blows down, wouldn't the entire Marineland be destroyed? Continuously using the Marine 6 style shaved CP tissue in the air, he glanced at the Conqueror's giant hammer above Yu's head from the corner of his corner, and the face under the mask also showed a shocking expression. Does that boy named Yu actually have such a terrifying attack? The existence of this guy will profoundly affect the rule of the entire world headquarters. Bullet showed an excited expression and licked his lips, excited. Ha ha ha, even in my strongest form, Bullet, I'm afraid I can't withstand this terrible blow. Now, Marine headquarters, we are doomed. Victory belongs to us, Bullet said with an arrogant laugh. Yu Conqueror's condensed giant hammer only waved slightly in the sky. The strong air flow instantly filled the entire Marineland, blowing the ruins on the land of Marine Fando again. Being invaded by the air flow, the entire marine showed an uneasy look. Warring States, if this hammer goes down, all of you, Marine Fando, will be buried with you. Yu said lightly, but his tone was so unquestionable. Forget it. This war, we lost. Looking at the concentrated fighting spirit above his head, Warring States completely collapsed on the ground. It's useless. Even if we resist, it's useless. This blow can destroy even the entire Marineland. Our resistance is completely meaningless. Warring States lamented and said dejectedly. Gang Gukong also showed a tired look. We Marine have lost this war, Warring States. Cyborg Kong clenched his fist tightly and said helplessly. This boy Yu gave me too much shock. I originally thought that no matter how strong this boy was, if I Gang Yu Kong personally took action, plus the Warring States period, and the undead Kaido, the 3 peerless strong men joined forces, how could he do it? Defeat Yu. But, Yu's strength far exceeds his own knowledge. The cooperation of these 3 peerless experts could not even break down Yu's defense. Now that Kaido had been beaten to death, and he and Sengoku were seriously injured. How could they possibly withstand Yi Yu's blow? We surrender. We have lost this battle. Please stop, Yi Yu. After Yi Yu heard this, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He asked you to stop before, but you didn't. Now that you see this terrifying blow of yours, are you ready to stop? Is that too cheap for you? If he wasn't worried that the damage of this move would be too strong and would threaten his own people, Yi Yu might not even bother to ask warring states and others. Yi Yu showed a joking smile, a smirk on his face, and the giant hammer with the added shock ability condensed on his head did not disappear. If you want to surrender, I have to see your sincerity. Let's chat slowly. If the chat is good, I will accept your surrender. If the chat is not good, I'm sorry, let's continue fighting. Yi Yu said nonchalantly. Buzz. The two popular heads of Sengoku and Cyborg Kong were buzzing. How had these two powerful men ever been so angry? But, in the face of absolute strength, they dare not say anything. In the end, Sengoku gritted his teeth and spoke first. Yes, we accept your request, and we, Marine, will agree to it. Almost every word of Sengoku was spoken through clenched teeth. Now Sengoku really regrets in his heart, why did he provoke this Whitebeard pirates in the first place? Why didn't we conduct a thorough investigation of the Whitebeard pirates and ignore the existence of Captain Yi Yu of Division 0? Yi Yu. This is a more terrifying existence than the world's strongest man, Whitebeard Edward Newgate. It's useless to regret it now. Chapter 100. Compensation for ceding territory. First compensation is 200 billion belly. Seeing that warring states and Gangu Kong were so successful, Yi Yu nodded slightly towards them. Well, you guys are pretty good, aren't you? Okay, let's talk slowly. Let the pirates retreat first, and I will talk to you Marine alone. Yi Yu said with the corner of his mouth raised slightly. Warring states did not dare to disobey Yi Yu's order, picked up the trumpet bug, and spoke to the entire Marine Fando. Stop this war. Marine Fando and us Marines cannot accept any more heavy losses. I declare, this war, we Marine, surrender. Sengoku said with great sorrow. After hearing these words, the entire battlefield of Marine Fando fell into silence for an instant, and then a violent noise broke out. Marine and the others actually surrendered. That Marine, who is known as the Overlord of the Sea, actually has such a day. We won. We won. The Whitebeard pirates defeated Marine. The pirates of Marinafando roared loudly one by one, and their expressions of excitement could be seen. Bullet is still an expression that hasn't been played with enough. You have stolen all the glory this time, Yi Yu. Next time, I will definitely overshadow you. Shiryu of the Rain also stopped his slashing. Since Marine had surrendered, he didn't owe Yi Yu anything. Shiryu of the Rain was the first to leave the battlefield. Although Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo was beaten with blood from the corner of his mouth by the weird technological troops, after hearing Marine's declaration of surrender, his eyes showed an extremely bright light. Hey, Marine, this powerful force known as the Overlord of the Sea, never expected that this day would happen. This time, I, Doflamingo, made the right bet on taking sides. A new era has arrived, and the king of this new era is Yi Yu. Doflamingo is in a good mood. After the victory, Yi Yu promised himself that as long as he protects the people, he will receive 2 additional taxes from the country. This is undoubtedly a huge reward for Doflamingo, who is a businessman. After Whitebeard heard this, the entire Marineland burst into hearty and heroic laughter. Hoo-ha-ha-ha-ha, hoo-ha-ha-ha-ha, our Whitebeard pirates have won. Marine, Buddha of the Warring States period, I didn't expect that such a day would come to you. If you dare to provoke our Whitebeard pirates and touch my son, even you, Marine, will make you pay the price. Whitebeard looked forward, and when he saw Warring States' ugly expression, he felt secretly happy. Garp looked at Sengoku with a helpless and sympathetic expression. Buddha's Warring States. At this moment, only I, an old friend of the Warring States period, knew how uncomfortable the Warring States period was inside. Marine's justice no longer exists, which is undoubtedly a huge psychological blow to Sengoku. Yi Yu also directly snatched the trumpet bug from Sengoku's hand through Conquerors and spoke to the entire Marine Fando. In this war, I declare that our Whitebeard pirates have won the final victory. Now you can evacuate here. The remaining thing is the negotiation of the war treaty between Marine and I. Boom. Roaring applause erupted across the entire Marineland. Now Yi Yu has become a great hero in the eyes of these pirates. Why did Marine surrender? At least half of the credit goes to Yi Yu. So, under Yi Yu's call, the entire Whitebeard pirates and peripheral coalition forces began to evacuate in an organized manner. Whitebeard came to Yi Yu's side. Boy, I really have you, but don't be careless. Boy, are the Marines trying to trick you. We will wait for you on the outer coast of Marineland. If there is any danger, just send us a signal and we will arrive as soon as possible. Yi Yu waved his hand. Don't worry, old man, do you think you still dare to resist now just because of them? Yi Yu pointed around. Most of the Marines were injured. Strong men like Sengoku and Cyborg Kong could only barely hold on. The few strong men like Garp and he who were not injured also consumed a lot of energy. There is still some chance during the heyday, but in this current state, it would definitely be a very unwise move to think about besieging Yi Yu. Seeing the dejected expressions of all the former strong men in the entire Marine headquarters, Whitebeard laughed boldly again. He patted Yi Yu's shoulder with his hand, and then led the Whitebeard pirates to evacuate here. Although Walder and Bullet still want to fight, the Whitebeard pirates here have already evacuated, and the Marines, strong energy is still there, so they evacuated with the Whitebeard pirates. In this way, the huge shaking hammer remained above Yi Yu's head, and the entire pirate group evacuated one after another. On the battlefield of Malinfando, negotiations for a war agreement also officially began. First of all, let's compensate 200 billion belly first. Yi Yu's first words almost made Buddha Warring States vomit blood. The entire Marines' annual expenditure is only 100 billion berry. Yi Yu's this guy is really a lion. Warring States' expression and Cyborg Kong's eyes widened, and his expression was extremely ugly. What about 100 billion Baileys? My greatest power is to mobilize 100 billion Baileys. Warring States asked helplessly. 100 billion belly is too few. 200 billion berry cannot be less. You don't have the power, you can call your boss 5 elders. Yi Yu said calmly, but his tone was unquestionable. Warring States was slightly surprised, thinking that it was Whitebeard who told Yi Yu that there were 5 elders, the pinnacle of power, above him. If the 5 elders don't agree, tell them that the entire Malinfando people will be buried with them for their stupid behavior. Yi Yu said calmly with a hint of coldness on his lazy face. Warring States was so angry that he gritted his teeth, and Cyborg Kong on the side patted Warring States on the shoulder. Forget it, Sengoku, we Marines have long lost the right to speak to each other. Cyborg coughed dryly and spit out bright red blood. Warring States on the side had no choice but to dial the number of 5 elders. After hearing the report from the Warring States period, the 5 old men of the Holy Land Mariajoya gritted their teeth in anger, and their angry roars resounded throughout the entire power. You Marines are just the facade of world government. This time, you Marines have brought shame to world government. The old man in kimono stood up from his seat angrily and cursed, but didn't give a damn. The Warring States period Marine has a little more face than Fleet Admiral. The execution of Roger's bloodline has not been successful, and all the criminals in the great prison under the sea have fled. Even if you send technological troops, CP organizations, and Cyborg Kong to assist you, this battlefield will not be won. What on earth do you Marines do for food? This is simply a shame and a huge insult to the world government. The old man with a birthmark on his face slapped the table angrily and yelled. Now you shameless guys still want to ask us for money. The old man with straight hair and beard cursed. For a time, Warring States felt extremely humiliated, but there was nothing he could do. Report to the 5 elders, if you don't agree to Yi Yu's request. I think it won't take long for Yi Yu to destroy the entire Marinafando. The 5 old men blew their noses and stared angrily. If the entire Malinfando was destroyed, then the world government would only be more embarrassed. Even if they are the pinnacle of power in the world, they are helpless when facing Yi Yu at this time. Promise him. The old man in kimono said angrily, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites shared the same login details so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 101 Threat 5 Elders. Warring States breathed a sigh of relief and turned to look at Yi Yu. 5 elders, they agreed. Sengoku said helplessly. Oh, that's pretty much it. What's next? I declare that Fishman Island. These islands are all under the control of our Whitebeard pirates. Yi Yu yawned and said lazily. This time I brought over the 2 countries around Doflamingo, Whitebeard's former country, Fishman Island, and some countries where the Whitebeard pirates often visited. Buzz. The entire Marineland fell into an atmosphere of great silence. With so many islands and even 8 countries, this. Garp clenched his fists and roared crazily at Yi Yu. Boy, don't go too far. How can you trample on Marine's justice? After saying that, Garp jumped up directly. Although Garp had wasted too much energy in the previous battle with Whitebeard, he could still exert 80% of his combat effectiveness. Garp. Sengoku opened his mouth to stop him, but it was too late. Cyborg Kong also showed a helpless look. Now Garp is in big trouble. Even if he teamed up with Sengoku and Kaido, they couldn't stop Yi Yu. How could Garp alone defeat Yi Yu? Yi Yu showed a disdainful expression, and it seemed that the negotiation was not going very smoothly. With a thought, the giant hammer above his head struck hard at the entire Malinfando. Stop Yi Yu's attack. Cyborg Kong roared. After experiencing this war, Cyborg Kong and Sengoku have been seriously injured. Only Garp, Aokiji, Kizaru, Lieutenant General Suru, Momosugi and others who were currently very exhausted were able to withstand this thunderous blow. Garp Iron Fist, leading the charge, roared in the air. I must uphold Marine's justice. Aokiji behind him released his Ice Age, a huge ice wall hit the sky, and Kizaru let out the yellow dazzling light. Everyone tried their best. Boom, boom, boom. All kinds of weird energy exploded in the sky, including icy cold white energy, yellow explosive energy, soft purifying energy, and Garp's terrifying armed color. Yi Yu's Conqueror's shock hammer was in a stalemate with these terrifying forces in the sky. The entire sky above Marinafando was full of oppression and ablaze. Powerful airflow blew from high altitude to the entire Malinfando. Due to the impact of the colliding airflow, a large number of tornadoes were even produced, making the entire Malinfando even more chaotic. Kaido, who was in the ruins, opened his eyes slightly, and saw the scene in front of him, and his eyes widened. Looking at the terrifying explosion in the sky, I was shocked again. Is this Yi Yu's attack? Kaido said in disbelief. The explosion in the sky lasted for dozens of seconds. The exhausted Marines were no longer able to launch the next attack. They all stared at the sky with their eyes wide open, swallowing their saliva. Now the guy they are afraid of has appeared again, and he is still a young man with great potential. The Marines on the mainland of Marineland are attacking. Now these powerful Marines are in an extremely exhausted state and are unable to launch a second attack in a short time. This feeling doesn't feel like Marines' attack, but Yi Yu's attack. Sengoku held the phone in his hand, trembling. Report. 5 elders, because we did not agree to Yi Yu's request for war compensation, Yi Yu has destroyed the entire Marineland. Although we successfully blocked this blow, how can we resist these thousands of Conqueror's fragments? The surrounding Marines, including Cyborg Kong, Garp and other powerful men, all had their eyes widened with horror on their faces. That is, Conqueror's energy fragment. General Momosuke looked at the sky and said with wide eyes. Destroyed. The 5 elders frowned one by one. Hawkeye, who was still lingering in the sea outside Malinfando, looked at Malinfando. This boy's strength may have surpassed rocks. In our heyday, it was possible to defeat Yi Yu if we joined forces. Now we are so injured and crippled that it is impossible to defeat the devil Yi Yu. Among the powers, the 5 elders heard this huge shock and frowned. Boom, boom. These fragments are mixed with shock power. This power with the strongest attack will destroy Malinfando. Aokiji also looked melancholy. Hey, I'm talking to 5 elders. It's too tiring to talk to Sengoku. You are his master, right? I will tell you the war compensation directly. If you don't agree, I will send the entire Marineland to you. Everyone is wiped out. The entire sky was filled with fragments broken by the giant hammer, densely distributed throughout the sky. While the 5 elders were thinking collectively, Yi Yu's cold voice came from the phone. Aokiji used his last bit of strength and used Ice Age. After the entire sea was frozen, Aokiji fell to the ground from exhaustion. Whitebeard squinted his eyes, looked solemn, and spoke slowly. Dad, are those marine guys not following the rules and attacking Yi Yu? Marco on the side said worriedly. The strong men of Marine each used their own abilities to avoid the Conqueror's fragments in the sky. Warring states, what happened over there? The old man with a scar on his forehead and a mustache asked in surprise. Yi Yu, you are really a monster. My swordsmanship cannot be separated from your guidance. Mihawk said excitedly. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a loud noise, and the crack zone in Malinfando, which accounted for a quarter of the entire Malinfando, collapsed. General Kizaru also showed a solemn expression. The earth shook, the ground collapsed, and a large number of Marines were swept away by the powerful energy aftermath. Decades ago, there was a figure who made them frown, and it was rocks back then. The entire ground is full of cracks stretching for thousands of meters, and some of the ground has become uneven and has faults. Even One Piece Roger and the 5 elders didn't take it seriously. They just dispatched Marine's strongest combat power Garp and solved it. Thousands of square kilometers of land collapsed like this. Even the sea boiled again, and a powerful tsunami rushed towards Marine Fando. The Whitebeard pirates in the waters outside Marina Fando felt the vibrations of the sea, and each one showed a horrified look. There were still a large number of Conqueror's fragments, which exploded on the land of Malinfando, shaking the whole of Malinfando. Run! The Marine minions looked at the dense and terrifying Conqueror's fragments in the sky, roared loudly, and fled in all directions. Chapter 102 Next time, maybe Mary Joa will be destroyed. Yi Yu said with a smile, but his tone was very cold, and now there was a Conqueror's giant axe gathered above his head again, mixed with yellow energy, which was the shining fruit ability that Yi Yu possessed. There is no doubt that if Marinavando, who is now bankrupt, takes another blow from himself, Conqueror's light attack, he will completely disappear into the sea along with these Marines. After the 5 old men heard Yi Yu's arrogant words, veins popped up on their foreheads and they clenched their fists tightly. The old man with the scar on his forehead had the most irritable temper. He was about to give Yi Yu a verbal lesson when he was stopped by the old man in kimono and the old man with a straight beard. The old man in kimono spoke slowly. Tell me, apart from 200 billion belly, what else do you want? The Warring States period of Malinfando showed a surprised look. The 5 elders, who were aloof and did not allow anyone to have a trace of blasphemy, did not say a word when they were threatened by Yi Yu. It seems that Yi Yu's threat to the world government is too great, and the world government still can't let go of his group of people. Warring States was really a little scared just now. If the 5 elders don't hold back their temper and argue with Yi Yu, relying on Yi Yu's strength and the eye-catching Whitebeard pirates in the waters outside Marinelvando, it won't be a problem to annihilate the entire marine of Malinfando. Yi Yu ignored the reactions of the people around him and directly told the 5 elders again about the compensation he had just asked for the ceded land. After a long time, an old voice came from the other end of the phone. Promise him, Warring States. After saying that, the other end of the phone hung up and heard a busy tone. There was only a very long period of silence in the entire Malinfando. They never imagined that in just a few hours, the entire Malinfando would fall. Not only a large amount of war compensation, but also the ruling power of 8 countries was handed over to Yi Yu as war compensation. This obviously touched the foundation of the celestial dragons, but the 5 elders agreed. Is Yi Yu already so powerful? From now on, the trend of the entire world seems to be led astray by this careless pirate in front of me. All the Marines on the ground in Marineland fell into infinite emotion. Ignoring everyone's surprised expressions, Yi Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly after receiving the answer from the 5 elders. Just like that, in full view of Marine, Conqueror's power flew into the air and left Marine Fando. Goodbye, everyone. I hope you won't have any ideas about the Whitebeard pirates in the future. First hope Marine can still give my red hair some face. A domineering aura emerged, and the powerful aura swept over him in just a moment. Beckman also walked slowly with a cigar in his mouth and slowly exhaled a puff of smoke. Mahawk, who was on the side, also had a bright light in his eyes, and came to Yi Yu, ready to discuss the swordsmanship with Yi Yu, and even spar with Yi Yu if conditions allowed. Yi Yu, it's Yi Yu who's back. Ha ha ha. Although the Whitebeard pirates tried their best to invite Mahawk to come and have a drink with the Whitebeard pirates, Hawkeye, who has always been lonely, did not agree. At this time, Yi Yu didn't want to discuss kendo with Hawkeye. He had been worried about the Whitebeard pirates for the past few days and finally won the war. How could he have the time to discuss kendo that he was not interested in? Hoo-ha-ha-ha. Don't worry about him, sons, go back today. The banquet will go on as usual. Everyone has to get drunk for me. Let's not get drunk until we get home. Whitebeard said excitedly. Mahawk, this guy is still the same. Whitebeard murmured in a good mood. The red-haired Shanks looked at the sea in the distance, held his famous sword Griffin in one hand, and spoke slowly. Lakealu, don't be careless, we are facing Marine and the Whitebeard pirates next. Yi Yu said calmly, but when the Marines heard these words, they felt that the hairs all over their bodies were bursting. This guy named Yi Yu in front of them must be a devil. But after all, Yi Yu was facing Cyborg Kong, Garp, a peerless warrior at the level of the Warring States period. Even the greatest swordsman in the world might not be able to handle him. Marco, who was waiting anxiously, saw Yi Yu's arrival in the air and shouted excitedly. The Marines in Marineland only dared to watch from a distance, but there was nothing they could do. Ha ha ha, Shanks, Kaido of the Beasts is not here, and their pirate group is really invincible. Next time, I have to leave their double disaster to me, and fight the 6 flying cells, it is so boring. Lakealu complained, said. Now Yi Yu has no thoughts at all about fighting. This kind of thing is really tiring. Isn't it good to sleep? Otherwise, Yi Yu said with a smile on his face. Yi Yu, I really have you. I didn't expect that after just a few days without seeing you, you are so much stronger than when you were chasing Blackbeard. Diamond Josie said with excitement. Well, if you want to discuss swordsmanship, you are welcome to come to our Whitebeard pirates at any time. I just went through the war and I have to take a nap. If we can't persuade them, the battle with Marine will be inevitable. Beckman said with serious eyes. Since he couldn't discuss the art of swordsmanship with Yi Yu, there was no need to stay here. Otherwise, I can't promise to spare you next time. Maybe, I will also destroy the Holy Land Marie Joa. 2 hours ago, above the sea, a pirate flag with a skull pattern was fluttering in the wind. Looking back now, the last time I saw Yi Yu, Conquerors only suppressed the Buffalo Atmos and defeated Marco through Conqueror's transformation. Go home, come back in full glory. The entire outer sea area of Marinbando was filled with the shouts of the Whitebeard pirates, unscrupulously. Captain Red Hair, your Conquerors are more powerful than before. Regarding the competition, Yi Yu directly refused. He had already done a lot of activity today and had enough Conqueror's power to run one more lap of Marin Fan. This is a big pirate even more vicious than rocks. The current Yi Yu Conquerors can severely damage even a player of Cyborg Soar's level. Whitebeard also let out a heroic laugh again. He was in a good mood today, and even the pain on his body was relieved a lot. A fat man holding a chicken leg in his hand and wearing small sunglasses slowly came to the front of the boat with a red-haired man. Mahawk also realized that he was abrupt. Yi Yu had just experienced that big war, although he was not injured. Now I only believe in returning to Whitebeard's territory as soon as possible, and continue to enjoy the happy time of good food and wine, watching TV and playing games. I was rude, Yi Yu, I will visit you. Mahawk said a swordsman's etiquette to Yi Yu, and then got on his boat. Chapter 103. Why don't Shanks do some exercise? At this time, Yi Yu walked out of his dormitory with an impatient look on his face. I asked you guys to calm down for a while and finally get some sleep to relax, but you woke me up. Yi Yu said angrily. The red-haired Shanks knew Yi Yu from the newspaper cover of the World Economic News Agency. This was the first time for the red-haired Shanks to meet in real life. A pair of eyes stared at Yi Yu, sighing inwardly. No matter how you look at it, he doesn't look like a strong man. Not to mention defeating Cyborg Kong and destroying Marine Fando, even an ordinary minor character looks stronger than Yi Yu. You are Yi Yu. Red-haired Shanks said with squinted eyes, full of suspicion. Well, you are that Shanks, you don't need to come, Marine has been defeated by our Whitebeard pirates. Yi Yu only noticed the existence of red hair at this time, and had no answer at all when faced with such idiotic questions as red hair. Instead, he said lightly to the red-haired man in a condescending manner. Feeling Yi Yu's disrespect towards him, Shanks felt a little unhappy inside. It didn't matter to him no matter what Whitebeard said, after all, they were both 4 emperors. However, a captain of the Whitebeard pirates actually spoke to him in such a condescending manner, even sounding more arrogant than Whitebeard. He is not older than me and not familiar with me, so he calls me by his name in a nonchalant way, which sounds very disrespectful. The members of the red-haired pirate group also have opinions about Yi Yu. Their pirate group is here to help them, and the red-haired member of the 4 emperors is older than Yi Yu. But, there was no hint of respect and gratitude for Shanks from Yi Yu's tone. Hey, you ignorant boy, please pay attention to the tone of your words. Lakealu said angrily. Yi Yu rolled his eyes. He had always said this attitude, no matter you are Uranus lousy, not to mention you are just a red-haired Shanks. The red-haired Shanks waved his hand to Beckman, giving Whitebeard an explanation. He took 2 steps forward and spoke slowly. I heard from the Whitebeard pirates that you are very powerful and even destroyed Marinavando, but you are an incredible strong man. What do you think about us competing against each other? Said the red-haired Shanks slyly. As a strong man, Shanks is much stronger inside than ordinary cadres. Shanks quickly got out of his anger and planned to expose Yi Yu. The red-haired man stared at Yi Yu. No matter what, he must teach this boy a lesson today so that he can regain the face he lost. Yi Yu rolled his eyes again. How come Shanks, a guy with the same virtue as Hawkeye, always wants to compete with him? He just sent Mihawk, a Hawkeye, and a red-haired Shanks. No wonder these 2 guys can become friends. This is a piece to disturb yourself and prevent yourself from having a good rest. You are too weak, Shanks, I am not interested in you. Yi Yu said directly. After hearing Yi Yu's words, the entire red-haired Shanks pirate group was completely confused. The captain of the 4 Emperors team actually dared to tell 4 Emperors Shanks that you were too weak. The red-haired Shanks even twitched the corner of his mouth. Is this kid so crazy? Hey, kid, don't be too arrogant. The person in front of you is the red-haired Shanks of the 4 Emperors, who is on the same level as the Whitebeard of your pirate group. Jesus B. Yu said loudly, preparing to remind Yi Yu. Shanks is also ready, waiting to hear Yi Yu's apology and regain his face. But the next sentence made Shanks even more embarrassed. I know he is Shanks, but I know he is too weak and is no match for me. That's why I said this. Yi Yu said directly. If it's 5 elders, or I am, characters that I don't know much about in anime, I can learn from each other. Yi Yu is quite aware of the strength of the red-haired Shanks. His strength is on the same level as his father's. Although he is at the 4 Emperors level, he has not yet reached the height of One Piece. If you want to challenge me, at least you have to be as high as One Piece, that's not too much. Shanks was completely speechless this time, with black lines all over his head. Seeing that it was useless to talk to this guy Yi Yu, he turned around and looked at Whitebeard. Hey, let me tell you, Whitebeard, don't you take good care of your men. Shanks said angrily. How could he be one of the 4 Emperors, a being with the same status as Whitebeard? How could someone despise him so much? No face given to him at all. When Whitebeard saw the furious Shanks, he laughed unkindly. Hoo-ha-ha-ha-ha, I'm sorry Shanks, I can't help you either. Yi Yu is our ship's lucky star. I won't blame him for anything he says. Whitebeard said with a laugh. Seeing Whitebeard's attitude, Shanks became even more furious. Okay, Whitebeard, this is what you said. He jumped directly onto Whitebeard's pirate ship and unleashed his Conqueror's haki. Under the strong pressure, even the deck of the Moby DK had cracks. Some pirates from the Whitebeard pirates fell directly to the ground. Shanks was very happy about his masterpiece. Now he had regained some face. Even the white-bearded conquerors is not afraid at all. The members of the red-haired pirates also jumped into the Moby DK and shouted excitedly at Shanks. Shanks' eyes were fixed on Yi Yu who was carefree in front of him. Yi Yu, I must have a good discussion with you in this battle. Shanks said angrily, his chest rising and falling violently. If you are unwilling to accept the challenge, it only means that what you said before about defeating Cyborg Kong and defeating Marine headquarters are all lies. By then, the entire sea will laugh at you Whitebeard pirates. Shanks said with a sneer. The crew members of the surrounding red-haired pirates also started shouting. We Captain Shanks competed with you as a captain, but we gave you enough face. Isn't it good that you look down on our Captain Shanks like this? Why are you looking down on our captain, Yi Yu? You are trying to evade us in every possible way. In my opinion, you are probably afraid of losing, ha ha ha. Yes, it must be this reason. Otherwise, why wouldn't Yi Yu dare to challenge? Ha ha. The officers of the red-haired pirate group mocked Yi Yu one after another. His own captain had lost such a big face to the Whitebeard pirates, how could the officers of the red-haired pirates let go of such an opportunity? You said you are very powerful, then let's compare and try it with Captain Shanks. Marco looked at the red-haired pirates and shook his head. These guys would never believe it unless they saw Yi Yu's power with their own eyes. Captain Yi Yu, think about it, why don't you just do some exercise? Chapter 104 Shanks also challenged me to duel, which is really troublesome. Let them see how powerful you are, otherwise they will really think that our Whitebeard pirates are bragging. Marco approached Yi Yu's ear and said. That's right, Captain Yi Yu, let these red-haired Shanks know how powerful you are. Diamond Josie also came over and said. Captain Yi Yu of his own group was so powerful that he was suspected by the red-haired pirates, which made Josie a little angry. We, Captain Yi Yu, are too lazy to bully you. Let's see what you are capable of. Why don't we, Captain Yi Yu, dare to challenge you? What are you thinking? Captain Yi Yu, I think you should take action and teach these ignorant guys a lesson. Foil Beasta also said loudly. A peerless strong man didn't even bother to fight with Yu Hongfa, but he was still looked down upon. Everyone felt a little unfair to Yi Yu. Moreover, it is no longer Yi Yu's problem alone. The red-haired Shanks looks down on Yi Yu, which is actually a disguised way to show that the Whitebeard pirates are not as good as the red-haired pirates. How can you bear this? Suddenly, the entire Whitebeard pirates began to chant. Captain Yi Yu, take action, we can't let the red-haired pirates look down on us. What red-haired Shanks? Don't say you're Shanks, even if you are rocks, it won't work. Yes, Captain Yi Yu, let us open our eyes again. We haven't seen enough of your battles. The reaction of the Whitebeard pirates made red-haired Shanks slightly surprised. The performance of the Whitebeard pirates has gone too far, and I am not talking about Whitebeard. Isn't it possible that I am a four emperors and the leader of the Whitebeard pirates team who talks nonsense? I think the reason why these guys behave like this is because they are afraid that Captain Yi Yu will reveal their secrets. They want to scare me away in this way and save face for the Whitebeard pirates. Humph, it's not that easy. Thinking of this, the red-haired Shanks held his famous sword Griffin in his hand and took 2 steps forward again. His eyes were locked on Yi Yu and he narrowed his eyes. Yi Yu, let's fight. You can't avoid it. Looking at everyone, Yi Yu expressed his helplessness. If he didn't defeat Shanks, I'm afraid it would be impossible for him to sleep peacefully. These guys are guaranteed to make you noisy to death. Why bother with this stupid red-haired guy? If you have to fight with yourself, not only will you get hurt, but you will also be in trouble, and neither party will benefit. Didn't Mihawk mention himself to the redhead? The dark black sword light left a trace in the sky, and the sky seemed to be cut open. This strike was no weaker than the strike of Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. Sigh, Shanks, you are really troublesome. Anyway, I am quick to take action. I should be able to deal with you in a short time. Shanks has black lines all over his head. Yi Yu, from the beginning to the end, has been talking to him in a condescending manner. He is Shanks, and even Whitebeard has to give himself a face. He is just a sea of Whitebeards. The thief team leader is also crazy. This is simply to open your face and let others slap you hard, and you won't be able to do anything without it. Whitebeard actually had no intention of taking action. Could he be so confident in that boy Yi Yu? If Yi Yu is seriously injured, the red-haired pirates and the white-bearded pirates will not get along well in the future. The weapons in Shanks' hands were strong, and he directly struck Yi Yu with a strike. I was lucky enough to kill a general. It was okay to show off in front of the other 4 emperors, but it was absolutely not allowed in front of my own red-haired Shanks. But I promised you in advance that after defeating Shanks, you can't be so noisy. I have to go to sleep and catch up on my sleep, understand? Yi Yu looked at everyone and said angrily. Shanks also felt a little regretful after unleashing his slash. After the red-haired Shanks heard Yi Yu's speech, he became even more angry, and his moon pressure was a little high. Boss Shanks, this is going to be serious. Even if I tell Shanks, he probably won't believe it. As for Kaido being seriously injured by himself, there is no news report on this kind of news. If Kaido doesn't tell him, it won't spread in a short time. Oops, I was so angry with this brat that I forgot to hold back my hand for a moment. I struck out with all my strength from the red-haired 4 emperors. There are not many people in this world who can stop him. Neither of them had time to chat. Then red-haired Shanks' phone rang. Suddenly, the fighting spirit within Shanks gradually rose, and with the restless air, a strong pressure swept around. Hey, Mihawk, I'm busy right now. I'll call you later. Beckman cast his gaze in front of Whitebeard and rolled his eyes. You should feel honored, Yi Yu, this is an old friend of mine. In order to teach you a lesson quickly, I hung up on him. In fact, this is no wonder Hawkeye. In this special period, Mihawk is anxious to go to the Marine headquarters, while Shanks is anxious to stop Kaido of the Beasts and stop this war on his own. In the world of pirates, every one of these guys really has a louder voice than the last one. The big elbow in Lachalu's hand fell directly to the ground, and his mouth opened wide. If I had answered the phone at that time, I would never have done such a self-destructive and humiliating thing. Let's get started, Shanks, I'm in a hurry. Yi Yu said calmly. At this moment, the air seemed to freeze. Jesus Bu also looked confused. Shanks, you have to take it easy. Although Yi Yu has angered you, he is also the captain of the Whitebeard pirates after all, so he has to give Whitebeard some face, right? Looking at Shanks' expectant look, Yi Yu shook his head. Alas, the worst thing is not to hurt Shanks. After all, he protects the base camp of the Whitebeard pirates and can be considered his ally. What do you mean it won't take long to solve me? This is a bit too much. The dark armed color spread to the entire blade, and the famous sword Griffin was filled with murderous intent in his hands. The red-haired Shanks hung up the phone directly. Later, Shanks regretted it very much, because according to Eagle Eye, the purpose of calling Eagle Eye at that time was to tell him that he had met Yi Yu, a peerless strong man. Even now, Yi Yu is still so stubborn and wants to brag. I'm so embarrassed. My red-haired Shanks is angry. Brumuru. Now, can we fight? Shanks's eyes were full of desire, and he couldn't wait to expose Yi Yu. Chapter 105 Redhead, is this all you have? Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Facing the air slash from the red-haired Shanks, Yi Yu's face didn't show the slightest emotion. Instead, he took a step forward and waited quietly for the attack to hit him. Isn't this guy afraid of death? Shanks thought in great surprise. Or, this kid was frightened. If he really kills this kid by mistake, the Whitebeard pirates will definitely hold a grudge against him, and they might get into trouble now. Just when Shanks regretted it, the sword slash cut through the sky and came into contact with Yi Yu Conqueror's barrier. There was a loud bang. The sea began to boil at this moment, and the huge Moby DK swayed from side to side. The terrifying slashes dissipated without a trace, but Yi Yu took 2 more steps forward as if he was completely fine. It could be seen that the ripples of Yi Yu's Zhou Conqueror's barrier were moving slightly. Shanks's eyes widened and he looked confused. Is this a joke? Shanks' powerful blow. Even the world's greatest swordsman wouldn't dare to resist. But, the kid in front of me was blocked so easily. What kind of weird ability is this? Just now, this kid used Conquerors to defend against my attack. He gathered his knowledge and explored Yi Yu's body. Even a 4 emperors like red-haired Shanks had a slight cold sweat on his forehead. Horrible guy, is that thing actually a Conqueror's? I have long heard that Yi Yu's Conquerors is very powerful, but I really didn't expect that Yi Yu has mastered the way of Conqueror's transformation. Is Rox reincarnated? Scary guy. But, judging from Yi Yu's age, how much experience does he have? A person with relatively little experience would not be able to master this control method even if he awakens Conquerors. The unwilling red-haired girl decided to have a Conqueror's collision with Yi Yu. I still don't believe it. A kid under 20 years old can own such a terrifying Conquerors. The red-haired pirates on the side all widened their eyes, their faces full of surprise, and they swallowed the saliva in their mouths. The red-haired boss's angry attack was blocked so easily by this kid. I remember, isn't this kid someone with abilities similar to Magma? Why does he still have such weird abilities? I don't know, this guy is so weird. Could it be that what this kid said just now was not bragging? Did he really defeat Gengu Kong and destroy Malinfando? The entire red-haired pirate group looked confused and started a heated discussion with Yi Yu. On the other hand, the Whitebeard pirates and others looked calm. They had seen many such scenes in the battle on the top. It's normal to block a mere blow from the 4 emperors. On the battlefield, the Conquerors in the red-haired body rose, and a powerful invisible force squeezed the surroundings. Even the outside of the deck of the Whitebeard pirates had cracks one after another. Here comes Captain Shank's strongest Conquerors. Lakelu said in shock. Beckman put out the cigar in his hand and looked at the battlefield solemnly. Feeling the red-haired Shank's Conquerors, Yi Yu couldn't help but laugh. This made Shanks a little depressed. What are you laughing at? Yi Yu spread his hands. I'm sorry, Shanks, I couldn't help it when I saw that you were trying so hard, but only a little bit of Conquerors came out. Yi Yu covered his mouth with his hand and said with a snicker. Damn it, you little brat, Lousy is going to fight Conquerors with you. Shanks roared. A fighting spirit rose from Shanks' body to its maximum level, and the entire Moby DK trembled because of the red-haired Conquerors. After Yi Yu heard this, he became even more happy. This was the first time someone wanted to fight Conquerors with him. What do you mean you can't fight for me? Why don't you fight Conquerors with me? Yi Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and the Conquerors in his body leaked out, directly surrounding the Conquerors that Shanks had just released. Shanks showed a surprised look. No matter how much he increased the release of his Conquerors, he found that his Conquerors could only be released in a limited area around him. Own Conquerors wrapped. Are you still competing? Shanks, it's too early for your Conquerors to compete with mine. Yi Yu said with a smile on his face. Don't be too proud, kid. After Shanks finished speaking, the muscles on his body exploded, and the domineering power in his body began to reach its maximum level. Shanks wants to use this force to break through Yi Yu's encirclement. Shanks' Conquerors has vague signs of breaking through Yi Yu's siege. Feeling Shanks struggle, Yi Yu frowned. Why can't Shanks be honest? It seems that he needs to work harder. The Conqueror's domineering energy that enveloped Shanks just now became more and more intense, and finally turned into a physical form. Everyone in the red-haired Shanks widened their eyes. Look, what is that thing in the sky? Does it have devil fruit powers? Lakelu said with a look of shock on his fat face. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like a devil fruit power. This kind of terrifying feeling is somewhat similar to Conquerors. Beckman narrowed his eyes and said in surprise. Conquerors that can be seen with the naked eye. How is this possible? Jesus said in disbelief. Beckman frowned and continued to speak. It's possible, Rox is the man who has reached this level. Captain Shanks has only dreamed of reaching a height, Conqueror's transformation. In this battle, Boss Shanks lost. Beckman had already seen some clues and shook his head. Sure enough, when Yi Yu exerted a little force, the rich Conquerors was like mist, directly compressing Shanks' Conquerors to the extreme. Under the intense pressure, Shanks' Conquerors disappeared. Even Shanks himself felt the tremendous strength in his body. He seemed to be carrying several mountains on his back, unable to move even an inch. There was strong pressure on every inch of skin, and the internal organs were churning. If Shanks hadn't been able to endure it well, he would have vomited it out on the spot. Before he knew it, Shanks' back was covered with sweat. Yi Yu also stopped putting pressure on himself. He just wanted to make the surrounding environment clean for a while. Now that his goal was achieved, there was no need to continue fighting. Speaking of which, I have to thank Shanks for his help to the Whitebeard pirates. How about it, Shanks, I won this Conqueror's fight. The answer is revealed. Our Whitebeard pirates are not lying. You can be quiet now. I have to go back to sleep. Yi Yu said sleepily as he yawned. Feeling the terrifying Conquerors around him, Shanks was also completely shocked. His own Conquerors was nothing in front of Yi Yu. If Yi Yu's Conquerors are like towering trees, his own Conquerors are as small as grass. In front of Yi Yu, his own Conquerors is like a baby facing a giant. I lost this Conqueror's fight. Shanks replied. Chapter 106 I am ordered to kill Yi Yu. The people who left the red-haired Shanks were stunned. The boss of Shanks, who claims to have the strongest conquerors, actually said that he failed. Just by meeting a man as strong as that, he actually lost. It's nothing, I'm going to bed, and don't bother me anymore. Yi Yu rolled his eyes at the Whitebeard pirates and the others. Yi Yu pointed his finger at the Whitebeard pirates and others, and then walked straight back to his dormitory in front of the 2 Four Emperors groups. Hoo ha 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 ha. This boy really has a temper. Whitebeard laughed awkwardly. The red-haired Shanks also touched the back of his head and laughed. Not only does he have a temper, but he is also very strong. It's not unfair for him to lose to such a brat. After the embarrassment was eliminated, the red-haired eyes revealed a glint of light. I said, Whitebeard, your pirate group got an incredible guy. Did this kid really destroy Malinfando? What a terrible monster. The red-haired man said seriously. Hoo ha ha ha. There's no need to doubt it, Shanks. That brat really destroyed Malinfando. Whitebeard said boldly. After bidding farewell to the Whitebeard pirates, the red-haired Shanks continued to move forward. Now an obsession has arisen in the red-haired heart. That is, no matter what, I must take a good look at Malinfando. Above the sea, a skull-headed pirate flag fluttered in the sea breeze. Shanks and Beckman came to the deck and looked at the endless sea in front of them. This sea is getting more and more interesting, Shanks. Beckman slowly exhaled a puff of smoke and said seriously. I bet my future to Luffy before, but looking at it now, I made the wrong bet. The new era has arrived early. It's more intense than I imagined. Shanks narrowed his eyes, lost in thought for a long time. Finally, the red-haired Shanks ship approached Malinfando and docked far away. Shanks took out the telescope in his hand and looked at Malinfando directly ahead. I was frozen in place for a moment. Noticing Shanks' abnormality, Beckman also picked up the telescope in his hand. The scene before my eyes. It completely shocked their hearts. The main door of Marine headquarters was smashed to pieces, and the entire Marineland was spread across Kangxi. What's even more terrifying is that a quarter of the land in Marineland has completely collapsed and fallen into the sea. After being stunned on the boat for a long time, the red-haired Shanks finally spoke slowly. This is the power of the gods. ... Among the powers, the 5 elders all looked extremely ugly. The 5 old men began to discuss this major event. A-hole, if I had known this would be the result, we should have gone to Marinavando in person to teach that brat a lesson. At this time, Warring States did not hope to retain the position of Marine Fleet Admiral, but the shame in his heart drove him to solve the big problem of Yi Yu. Garp and Lieutenant General he frowned after seeing Sengoku's performance. During the battle at the top, Yi Yu easily defeated the trio of Cyborg Sora, Sengoku, and Kaido by himself. They were as powerful as rocks. As soon as these words came out, the people around him were completely shocked. The adult above refers to the only god in this world. I know, I will definitely find a way to kill Yi Yu. Warring States clenched his fists and gritted his teeth and said with all his strength. Yes, Lord I am. After the 5 elders answered in unison, they left the flower room on their knees one by one. After the 5 old men heard this, they lowered their heads closer to the ground. Even the 5 old men who stood at the pinnacle of power would feel frightened in their hearts when facing this mysterious Lord I am. I am also responsible for this action. I underestimated that boy named Yi Yu. Please join me in punishing him. This time, we 5 elders will take action in person. The old man with scars on his face said with a gloomy face. Finally, the 5 elders arrived at the mysterious house among the flowers. As 5 elders, they all knelt on the ground. After the 5 old men left Wahian, everyone looked solemn, and then they jointly summoned a high-level meeting with Marine. The lineup sent is naturally the most luxurious. Cyborg Kong looked at Warring States, showing a helpless expression, and also spoke. This time, you personally take action and extinguish this lit lamp yourself. A mysterious and unique voice came, as if this voice had been sealed for thousands of years. Finally, the old man in kimono sighed heavily and mentioned I am, the mysterious person standing at the top of the world. Killing Yi Yu is not easy. When Lord I am was mentioned, even the world government 5 elders also showed a look of fear. How dare you threaten our 5 elders, this guy named Yi Yu, you can't let him go. The 3 generals also looked surprised. Is the Warring States Fleet Admiral going to take the blame and resign? After the 3 generals heard this, their expressions were extremely complicated. Based on Yi Yu's strength, killing Yi Yu would be more difficult than wiping out the Whitebeard pirates. I suggest an emergency meeting be held immediately. I knew about this, but I didn't expect that after so many years, a light would turn on again. Humph, what's the use of your punishment? I'm really sorry, I decided to resign from my position as Fleet Admiral. Sengoku said, bowing his head to the 5 elders. For this matter, first, let's consider how to report it to Lord I am. But the adult above said that as long as Yi Yu is killed, other things can be left alone. The old man in kimono tightened the sword in his hand and said with narrowed eyes. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about anything. The encirclement and suppression of Yi Yu this time is based on the order of the adult above. I do want to punish you. Lord I am, who has lived for so long, has terrifying boundless strength. If there are monsters in this world, she is the real monster in this world. It was a miscalculation. I didn't expect that boy to be so scary. It's too late for us to go now. That's right, as long as you kill Yi Yu, everything can be forgotten. The other four old men also began to agree, their eyes filled with murderous intent. During the meeting, Warring States clenched his fists tightly with a look of helplessness on his face. He was fully responsible for this big incident. Looking at the expressions of everyone, the five old men snorted coldly. Chapter 107 Yi Yu's bounty is 20 billion. Even Rox only dispatched 2 five elders to take charge. In the end, neither of the 2 elders took full action. Rox was still defeated by the combination of Garp, Roger and other strong players. This time, for one Yi Yu, such a large formation was dispatched. This time, except Lord IM, all the trump cards of the world government were dispatched. After the surrounding marine executives heard this, their brows gradually widened. Even if you have the strength of 2 Rox, Yi Yu, this time the 5 elders will take action personally and they will definitely capture you. For Yi Yu's crimes, coupled with his powerful strength, his bounty should be set at 20 billion. The old man with long straight hair said directly. The old man with long straight hair who had been silent until now tapped the diamond armrest on the sofa with his fingers, and finally said a number that shocked people. 20 billion. Even Garp and Sengoku showed extremely shocked expressions. You must know that even the Rox who crossed the sea had a bounty of only 10 billion. The surprised expressions on the faces of the people around me, not to mention, 20 billion belly. This is a number that they have never even heard of. HMPH, 20 billion means nothing to Lord IM. The 5 old men snorted coldly. The saying that a big sum of money must lead to a brave man, 20 billion, is just to attract other pirates to harass Yi Yu. Sengoku, you Marines can't make another mistake this time. The face of the world government can no longer be lost. The 5 old men said in a serious tone, and after speaking, the 5 old men left the Marine conference room directly. Only the senior Marine executives were left standing there blankly. The amount of information in this meeting was too great, and they had to calm down. The 20 billion bounty announced by the world government can be said to have caused an uproar throughout the world. People all over the world are intensely discussing this popular figure Yi Yu. As expected of Yi Yu, first heard that Marine Fando was destroyed and the Marine headquarters was moved because of Yi Yu. Is he such a scary guy? No wonder the world government spent so much money this time to arrest Yi Yu. The reason why I paid such a large sum of money to arrest Yi Yu is probably because I am afraid of Yi Yu. This time, the whole sea is probably going to be even more violent. On the Cake Island, Big Mom held Yi Yu's bounty with a confused look on her face, and gradually stopped chewing in her mouth. He widened his heavily made up eyes and read the reward order in his hand over and over again. Kaido, is this guy? Is he really that strong? He has a bounty that surpasses our Captain Rox. Auntie said in disbelief. Kaido, who was sitting next to him and was drinking heavily, hammered the table with his hand. That's right, this kid has the power to kill the 4 emperors instantly. Kaido said angrily. Now that I think of this boy Yi Yu, the scars on my body still hurt. The ability to kill the 4 emperors instantly. Auntie narrowed her eyes and looked at the wounds exposed on Kaido's body. In that case, this kid is too strong. You should all know the strong men at that time, and the most outstanding one among them was our Captain Rox. This kid actually has the ability to kill 4 emperors instantly, which shows that Yi Yu is already comparable to Rox. World government, even 5 elders. Auntie's eyes widened. No problem, as long as we can kill that boy Yi Yu, we can supply Wano country with as many sea tower stones as you want. As a new era coming, I hope Yi Yu can lead this era in a good direction. I originally thought that Yi Yu's strength had reached 4 emperors level, but looking at it now, I still underestimated this kid. After just a short time, this kid's strength was already comparable to Rox. So, that kid is dead this time. Ha 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 ha. Kaido laughed arrogantly. Oh, are there 3 of them? The ant said with serious eyes. It's a real dragon. I saw these with my own eyes. Yi Yu is the most powerful pirate I have ever seen in all these years of walking on the sea. Ivankov said excitedly. Ha 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 ha. Any one of them is more terrifying than One Piece Roger. You asked me to deal with Yi Yu this time. He is so powerful, how can we win? Big Mom said in shock. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and the laughter of the 2 powerful 4 emperors echoed throughout the Cake Island. Above the New World, there is a marine not far from the Holy Land Marijoa. Speaking of which, since our pirate group disbanded, we haven't cooperated for a long time, Kaido. Ivankov, this boy whose sect is called Yi Yu, is it really like what you said, that he relied on human power to defeat Marine Fando? They were all mobilized. You know Kaido, the 2 original 5 elders, just by standing there, we can all feel great pressure. What if we join forces with the world government, or even the 5 elders? Kaido said. The man who said this was the leader of the revolutionaries, the dragon known as the most vicious criminal in the world. Ivankov, who was wearing heavy makeup, still couldn't calm down when he thought about the shock Yi Yu had brought to him. Originally, he had the World Economic News Agency working for him, but during the war on the top, Morgans lost contact directly, and he did not know anything about what happened in the war on the top. After hearing Kaido's words, even the 4 emperors and also showed a surprised expression. A glint flashed in Big Mom's eyes. There was silence for a while, and then he burst into laughter. This kind of terrifying talent can probably be said to be unprecedented and unprecedented. One was wearing a dark green coat and had a red square tattoo on the left side of his face. The man with short black hair combed back, a ferocious expression, no eyebrows, and a stubble on his chin looked at the sea and fell into a state of thought. Kaido looked calm. You are wrong. This time, there are not just 3 elders. This time the world government will send 5 elders to suppress Yu. Kaido gurgled, poured a lot of white wine into his mouth, and then laughed wildly. However, Kaido, you have agreed that I will avenge you, and your country, Wano, will have to supply me with 10 tons of sea tower stones every year. Auntie said directly. After a long time, the man finally spoke. That's right, this time, not just 2 elders took action. Kaido said thoughtfully. Mamamam, I really didn't expect that the world government would pay such attention to Yu. I remember that when Rox was killed, the world government also sent 2 elders. Although they did not take action, the terrifying pressure at that time is still fresh in my memory. Auntie's eyes rarely became serious. Long narrowed his eyes and looked at the sea ahead. After hearing Big Mom's answer, Kaido grinned. 3 elders are dispatched at one time, which is a higher treatment than Rox. Chapter 108 Conqueror's Qualitative Change, Gold Conquerors. At the same time, a figure walked out of a cave on an unnamed island, with blood in his mouth and a ferocious smile. This person was the Red Count who escaped from the Dingshan War. It was raining heavily at this time, and strange red lightning strikes continuously. After punching out, a mammoth beast 10 kilometers away fell to the ground and let out a scream. All the blood on its body disappeared strangely, leaving only an empty shell. Thanks to the vampire devil fruit, my abilities have returned to the peak state of my youth. Red Earl clenched his fists and said with excitement. Looking at the newspapers distributed by the world government in the sky, he punched the air. The newspaper bird in the sky turned into a mummy, and the newspaper fell into the hands of the Red Earl. HMPH, I would like to see what world government publishes. In the middle of the cover is Yu's reward order. HMPH, hey, it seems that world government has really spent a lot of money this time. It even announced a bounty of 20 billion. The Red Earl said with a smile at the corner of his mouth. However, I think this is just a ploy by the world government. Even if there is a bounty of 20 billion, which bounty hunter will be Yu's opponent? It's like sending yourself to death. Then he looked down and found that the world government had posted a message about looking for him. As long as he could find his hiding place, there was a bounty of 2 billion Baileys. It seems, the Uranus key fragment has been suspected by them, but it doesn't matter. With the vampire devil fruit, I can live freely in the primeval forest even if I leave humans. After saying that, a red light flashed in the Red Earl's eyes, and he directly crumpled the newspaper in his hand into a ball and threw it out. On the other side, Yu, who came to the Whitebeard pirates, was directly treated as a hero. The young men of the Whitebeard pirates, some people come to Yu for autographs almost every day. This whole Yu has a big head. Before, I could quietly enjoy the life of an otaku by myself, but now, facing guys like the Whitebeard pirates who are familiar with me, I have made such a big contribution to them. Now the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates come to Yu every day to drink a few bottles. You guys are really in trouble. Yu complained every time, and then took the wine from their hands. Although his peaceful life was disrupted by the Whitebeard pirates, Yu, who was an orphan in his previous life, only felt warm inside. Living with the Whitebeard pirates seems to be warmer than basking in the sun. Although Yu hangs out with the Whitebeard pirates all day long, his strength has increased dramatically. Since the war, Yu's Conquerors has directly exceeded 8,000 points, and all his devil fruits have been upgraded to high levels. What's even more terrifying is that Yu's Conquerors also got an opportunity to actively transform into a golden Conquerors. The released Conquerors no longer looks like white smoke, but has a golden color, like a layer of gold powder, sparkling under the sunlight. Of course, the color is not just a change in its appearance. The most essential change is that the attack power, defense power, and even the deterrent power of these gold conquerors on the human body have been increased tenfold. These golden conquerors also take into account agility. As long as they are within the area covered by their golden conquerors, Yu can move freely in space and accurately predict the enemy's position and attack. Because the gold conquerors consumes too much, Yu can currently maintain his own area of 200 meters. Even the area of 200 meters is enough to deal with all the strong men in the world. Therefore, Yu, who was originally a salty person, stopped talking about world government after obtaining the gold conquerors. He asked the world government to cede territory to him as compensation. Yu naturally predicted the world government's revengeful intentions. However, with his current strength, he is not afraid of them at all. Even if all their hidden powers appear, Yu is confident that he can fight against them alone. They fight. In the past, to attack the Marine headquarters, he had to rely on roping in various forces. Now, Yu is able to defeat Marine Fando by himself. On the day when Yu and the Whitebeard pirates fell, a guest came to Whitebeard's territory. It was Doflamingo who had once been in alliance with him and helped him. Yu was a little confused. What was Doflamingo doing with him? Nothing is missing from what he promised to Heavenly Yaksha. Now Doflamingo's annual income has tripled. He is already an emperor in charge of the security of 3 countries. Yu really couldn't figure out why Doflamingo came all the way to find him. Could it be that he had some good business that he wanted to cooperate with? But I am not very interested in talking about business. After a while, Doflamingo came to Yu, and even the cadres of the Don Quixote family and even Marine's undercover ghost Zhu Virgo also came with Ming Jie. This made Yu even more confused. If this guy Doflamingo doesn't act like a good emperor, why did he bring the entire Don Quixote family here? Come to eat at home. Although there was an alliance before, the brothers still had to settle accounts, and I definitely had to ask for food expenses for them. I said, Doflamingo, if you don't enjoy your life as an emperor in Dressrosa, why do you come all the way to visit me? Yi Yu said angrily. When asked this question, Doflamingo was stunned and then laughed. This guy Yi Yu really has a character. When most people see someone coming from all the way to visit, they will at least be polite. Yi Yu is good at showing his impatience directly. This is probably the characteristic of a strong person, right? Doflamingo didn't mean to be angry at all. Instead, he smiled and spoke to Yi Yu with respect. I'm here to find you Yi Yu to ally with you again. Doflamingo said excitedly as he licked his lips. Ever since he witnessed Yi Yu's power in the battle on top, Doflamingo has long been impressed by Yi Yu's strength. He only has respect for a strong man like Yi Yu. Chapter 109 Hancock. If you don't mind, I can clean your room. Ask me to form an alliance. Yi Yu looked confused. Now with his own strength, there is no need to form an alliance with others. Yes, Mr. Yi Yu, since the war, although I have obtained the financial power of 3 countries, my spies have recently received news that the world government seems to be taking action. If nothing unexpected happens, the financial rights of the 2 countries we fought for in the war will be taken back, and the world government will take action against me. Doflamingo said with veins popping out on his forehead, clenching his fists. Hey, Doflamingo, are you too cautious? Even if the world government wants to take action, it can't be so quick, right? Yi Yu said suspiciously. I have definitely thought about the fact that the world government wants to take revenge on me, but how quickly? Marine's vitality was severely damaged last time. Even Marine Fando was knocked down by him. Why don't you wait for a while? After hearing Yi Yu's words, Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo sighed. Although I'm not 100% sure that world government is going to take action, I'm still 80% sure. A white light flashed on Doflamingo's burgundy sunglasses. Oh, Yi Yu became even more confused. I'm not afraid to tell you now. This Lieutenant General Virgo is the undercover agent first placed in Marine. Just a few days ago, Marine senior leaders held a meeting with the 5 elders. After the meeting, the Marines began to train their troops. Virgo also roughly knew from the senior leaders that Marine was going to liquidate the rebels in the war. Quote. This is what 5 elders means. Doflamingo said seriously. The world government is so eager to eliminate itself. It seems that the impression I left on them is too deep. Speaking of which, it would be really unreasonable for me to ignore Doflamingo. However, relying on his temper and having so many allies, it is really a bit troublesome. It's okay to seek my protection. I don't care about the 5 elders. However, I feel that the long-term alliance is a bit troublesome. Yi Yu said with a look of disgust. When Doflamingo saw Yi Yu saying that it was okay to protect himself, he immediately showed excitement when he saw something was going on. No need to trouble you. We, the Don Quixote family, will handle the food and accommodation ourselves, and we will also give you the Whitebeard pirates food and drink every day. Doflamingo hurriedly replied that this was nothing to the wealthy Doflamingo. After finishing speaking, Doflamingo snapped his fingers. There were also some cadres from Torpal who directly brought in sacks of treasure. This is just a treasure we paid for 1 year. We hope you will accept it. Doflamingo said with a smile on his face. When everyone in the Whitebeard pirates saw Doflamingo's treasure, their eyes immediately lit up. Great, I never thought that you, a Shichibukai, could have such amazing wealth. Marco said excitedly. After all, these are all handed over to my pirate group, so now I don't have to worry about my father not paying back the money, haha. Ha ha ha, I suggest that all these treasures be exchanged for fine wine, so that our Whitebeard pirates can hold banquets every day. Diamond Josie also looked excited. After saying that, these guys didn't wait for Yi Yu's consent, and directly started to move with the Don Quixote family to the warehouse of their Whitebeard pirates. I haven't agreed yet. You guys. Yi Yu was speechless for a moment. Doflamingo showed a smile unique to profiteers. As long as he accepted his own things, he was not afraid of Yi Yu's disapproval. Mr. Yi Yu, if you don't mind, I can clean your room and do the housework for you. Empress Hancock prayed. Yi Yu was immediately overjoyed. Looking at it this way, it would be totally okay for the Don Quixote family to join. If it weren't for Empress Hancock's annual rent of 10 billion Baileys, would they intercede on behalf of the Empress? It's just that, one Don Quixote family in Doflamingo is not enough. Now the residents of the entire 9 Snake Island are here. Will it be too troublesome? Empress Hancock came to Yi Yu, her expression made a 180-degree turn, and instantly turned into the appearance of a little girl. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirates tried to persuade Yi Yu one after another. Yi Yu looked helpless. These guys. In the world of pirates, technological power is still very powerful. In addition to guns and cannons, even things like artificial humans can be transformed. With Caesar's ability, he can naturally create what Yi Yu wants. Fortunately, they were exposed in advance. I took the residents of 9 Snake Island overnight and came to seek refuge with you. Yes, you would be too cruel if you don't agree. You don't have to worry about this, Doflamingo. Empress Hancock said coldly to Doflamingo. In this world, only a powerful being like you can protect the people of 9 Snake Island. I hope you will accept my concubine. When the people of the Whitebeard pirates heard this, they instantly showed their satisfied eyes. Just agree, Yi Yu. While Yi Yu was thinking, Empress Hancock spoke. Now the world situation has changed drastically. Even my beauty is useless. Those guys from the world government actually want to take action against me. If we go on, Empress Hancock will probably cry to Yi Yu. Empress Hancock stepped on her high heels and came to Yi Yu's ship step by step. Empress Hancock hurriedly continued to speak. Now the Whitebeard pirates have made a fortune. Not only Heavenly Yaksha, but also the Empress Hancock also sent treasures to her pirates. Don't worry, leave this matter to me, Caesar said confidently. Although I don't have the thing you are talking about, I can definitely make it for you. What a rare guest, Hancock. Don't worry, just give us a small piece of land. In return, I will provide you with a rent of 10 billion belly per year. Yi Yu complained that his Whitebeard pirates had a lot of territory. They had acquired a lot of land from the world government during the previous war, but no one was inhabiting it yet. Doflamingo didn't feel angry at all, but laughed. My own territory has expanded 3 to 4 times since the war at Yi Yu Ding, so I don't have to worry about land issues at all. How can you bear to let such a beautiful woman be arrested by the world government? Caesar, I leave this matter to you. Doflamingo ordered. Foo, you are really an iceberg beauty, Hancock. Sure enough, Yi Yu relaxed, looked at Doflamingo and asked, is there anything else, something similar to a computer? Noticed Yi Yu's frown. It seems that I was not the first to arrive. A beautiful voice came over. Doflamingo looked at Hancock and smiled. At first, Doflamingo didn't understand what Yi Yu said, but after listening to Yi Yu's explanation, Doflamingo showed a confident expression. Yi Yu expressed his helplessness as he was not very interested in treasures. Chapter 110 New Guest Mahawk. The people of the Whitebeard pirates were instantly excited. Damn it, Yi Yu, you've made so much money, you actually have Empress Hancock cleaning your room. This is the life that many men dream of. Yi Yu, you are so convincing. Marco said excitedly. The surrounding pirates, with red hearts in their eyes, also shouted to leave the Empress Hancock, so that they could feast their eyes on her every day. Feeling the noisy sounds around him, Yi Joe frowned. It seemed that he would not be able to be quiet even if he wanted to be quiet in the future. These guys. However, speaking of it, I lack a person to clean my room. With a beauty like Empress Hancock cleaning my room, I not only don't have to worry about it, but it can also be soothing to my eyes. This sounds pretty good. Okay, Hancock, but don't disturb me without my permission. Yi Yu said with a frown. After Empress Hancock heard this, her face flushed with excitement, and her heart beat violently with excitement. In fact, ever since Yi Yu killed the celestial dragon, Empress Hancock has regarded Yi Yu as an idol. Now being able to clean the room for Yi Yu is simply unimaginable. Don't worry, Mr. Yi Yu, I won't break into your room without your permission. I will definitely listen to you, Empress Hancock said excitedly with her eyes shining. Well, Yi Yu nodded, looking at it this way, it's not bad. Just like that, Yi Yu sat down with the newcomer Doflamingo, Empress Hancock and others, and started a banquet. Doflamingo, this guy, seems to be extremely happy. Seeking Yi Yu's protection means that he is on the right team. As long as he is on the right team, there is no need to worry about not having the opportunity to develop in the future. Now Doflamingo is just waiting for the Marines to come and cause trouble. With Yi Yu's personality, it might be difficult for him to take the initiative to attack. But if others are looking for trouble, then Yi Yu can definitely destroy their lair. Doflamingo can even imagine that after Yi Yu overthrows the entire Tianlong people, the entire world will fall into Yi Yu's hands. As Yi Yu's ally, he naturally has huge benefits. Therefore, Doflamingo now only hopes that the world government will take action against Yi Yu earlier, so that, Yi Yu can catch all these reckless people. While everyone was having a banquet, an intelligence soldier ran up again. Report to Captain Yi Yu that someone wants to see you. The intelligence soldier said breathlessly. Yi Yu has a big head. Good guy, he must be the third person to come to find his alliance this day. Sure enough, the name of a man, the shadow of a tree, the battle he took on in the war, has already made a name for himself. Who is coming? Yi Yu asked calmly. It's Mahawk, the world's greatest swordsman. The intelligence soldier reported. This guy Mahawk. While he was thinking about it, Mahawk walked over quickly. It can be seen that Mahawk's eyes are shining, and he showed an excited expression after seeing Yi Yu. I said Mahawk, you are also looking for an alliance with me, right? Yi Yu said angrily. Mahawk was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and then his face was filled with a smile. I'm not here to form an alliance, Yi Yu. I'm here specifically to discuss matters with you. Of course, if forming an alliance with you allows me to discuss with you all day long, I would still be happy. Mahawk said with a smile. After hearing this, Yi Yu was dumbfounded. He had been competing with him all day long, but Mahawk actually had to compete with him every day. Doesn't that mean that Mahawk has to annoy himself every day? Thinking of this, Yi Yu's face suddenly lost its composure. At this time, Doflamingo started talking too much. Of course, Mahawk, as long as you can join our camp, you will be able to see Yi Yu every day in the future. Naturally, as an ally, it is my duty to guide you. Mahawk is the world's greatest swordsman. With such terrifying combat power, Doflamingo naturally has to fight for Yi Yu. The Whitebeard pirates also heard what Doflamingo meant and invited Mahawk one after another. This guy Hawkeye is not an ordinary Shichibukai. His strength is still a mystery to this day. It is very likely that he has Emperor-level strength. If the world government really wants to take revenge on its own pirate group, having Mihawk, the world's top swordsman, will be an important guarantee. Yes, Mihawk, if you join forces with our Whitebeard pirates, you will be able to see you every day from now on. Mihawk, Heavenly Yaksha and Hancock spent a lot of money to join our alliance. For the sake of you being the greatest swordsman in the world, I don't want any money from you, ha ha ha. Marco followed and said encouragingly. After Yu heard this, he glared at Marco. Good guy, it's so good now, I don't even want the treasure. You guys are fine. This Mihawk is with the Whitebeard pirates every day. Why don't you bother me to death? Come on, have a drink, Mihawk. Once you do, you will be an ally of our Whitebeard pirates. Josie on the side put his mouth full of oil and came to Hawkeye Mihawk with a large bucket of beer. After hearing this, Mihawk was very excited. He had never been interested in money, and he really didn't have the money to get it for himself. But for drinking, I have trained with the red-haired Shanks, so my drinking capacity is not bad. Without saying a word, Mihawk picked up the beer bucket and poured the beer into his mouth. After drinking, Mihawk burped and his face turned red. Now I can let you teach me swordsmanship every day, ha ha ha. The people around were surprised by Mihawk's drinking capacity and opened their mouths wide. I really didn't expect that Mihawk, although you don't like to talk, you are an experienced drinker. Whitebeard said in surprise. Yeah, Mihawk, you really have a good drinking capacity. You drank such a large barrel of beer in one go. Marco came over with a red face and said with a smile. The entire Whitebeard Pirates banquet was having a good time, except for one person who looked rather ugly. That was Yu. At this time, the corners of Yu's mouth twitched, and he wanted to curse in his heart. These guys, this time they have completely made their own claims. Chapter 111 Mihawk, the target catches your two moves. In this way, everyone fell asleep drunk that day. Early the next morning, Yu came out of the room and saw Mihawk and Empress Hancock. The restricted area that Yu had before the Whitebeard Pirates has now completely become a restricted area. Various characters can enter and exit freely, and Yu can only feel deeply helpless. You two guys, what are you doing standing at my door so early in the morning? It's so scary. Yu yelled directly. Empress Hancock didn't have a trace of anger on her face. Instead, she looked excited, and her red lips opened slightly. But it's getting late now, Yu-kun, you see the sun is shining on your buttocks. Have you forgotten, Mr. Yu, you personally said yesterday that you asked me to clean your room for you. Empress Hancock said with a happy expression. Can I go in and clean the room now? Empress Hancock said happily. A smell of fragrance came, and Yu finally remembered that he had indeed said that yesterday, and scratched his head awkwardly with his hand. Okay, Hancock, thank you very much. Yu said a little embarrassedly. After all, as a lazy otaku, his room was still very messy. After Empress Hancock got Yu's permission, she jumped into Yu's room like a deer, leaving only Hawkeye standing there. Hey, I mean Hawkeye, Hancock is here to clean my room, what are you doing here? Yu rolled his eyes at Mihawk. Mihawk immediately showed excited eyes, looked at Yu, and spoke excitedly. I didn't discuss it with you yesterday because I was drinking, but now I can finally discuss it with you. I hope Mr. Yu will not hesitate to teach me. This Hawkeye Mihawk is really determined to change. Okay, don't disturb my happy life after today's competition. Yu waved his hand and said angrily. Even if I reject Mihawk, I believe that with Mihawk's temper, he will definitely come after me to discuss with him. Instead of doing this, it would be better to deal with Mihawk in one go, then give him a random swordsmanship and let him train. After hearing this, Mihawk immediately nodded in agreement. It would be a great honor for a super swordsman like Yu, who has mastered the sword's will, to teach him for a few minutes. Mihawk does not dare to be greedy. Okay, Mihawk, let's find a place to discuss. It's too small here and it's easy to break things. Yu said calmly. This is not Mihawk's territory. Yu will still feel distressed if he breaks something, so he invites Mihawk to the island closest to the Whitebeard pirates. Along the way, Doflamingo and the Whitebeard pirates noticed Yu and the others and found out that they were going to compete. These idle pirates showed excited expressions and followed them directly. Islands. On the way, there was a heated discussion around Mihawk and Yu. I said, brothers, let's make a bet. Yu can defeat Hawkeye within a few moves. Marco became interested. Anyway, he had money now, so he directly made a bet. In my opinion, if the two were dueling like swordsmen, Yu would have to take at least 3 moves to defeat Mihawk. Foil Sword Beasta murmured. As a swordsman, there is a big difference from other people. Only those who can exert the maximum power of the sword are called swordmasters. Yu has never even touched the sword, so naturally it is difficult to exert the maximum power of the sword. Moreover, Mihawk has an extraordinary status in the hearts of all swordsmen. Beasta, who is also a swordsman, does not think that Mihawk will be so miserable in front of Yu. Diamond Josie doesn't think so. He is not a swordsman himself and knows very little about swords. Josie only thinks that with Yu's ability to penetrate the marine headquarters, even if he participates in the battle as a swordsman, even if he uses half of it, level, can also defeat Mihawk. I bet Yu can defeat Mihawk within 2 moves. Josie said excitedly. Beasta looked like an idiot. I said Chowzi, are you exaggerating? Mihawk is also the world's greatest swordsman. In a swordsmanship competition, is there really anyone in this world who can defeat Mihawk with 2 moves? Foil Beasta said in disbelief. Josie chuckled. Anyway, I just believe in Yu. At this time Marco also spoke. Okay, let's bet 1 million Baileys. The loser will give 1 million belly to the winner. What do you think? Josie and Beasta looked at each other and expressed no objection. Marco showed a bad smile after seeing the two agreed. Then I'll make a bet. I bet that Captain Yu can defeat Mihawk in one move. Marco said excitedly, his eyes shining. After hearing these words, everyone who went to watch the battle, except Whitebeard, had a look of amazement on their faces. What did you say? Marco, fight like a swordsman and defeat that man Mihawk with one blow. Among them, the foil swordsman Beasta, who is also a swordsman, was the most surprised. If he didn't duel like a swordsman, Yu would still be able to defeat Hawkeye with one move. If he could use a sword, the world's greatest swordsman would not be able to do so. Failed in one move. Marco smiled. Marco naturally had his own opinions. Even if he used the swordsman's method and Marco's idea to wrap Yu's super conquerors around the sword, he really didn't believe that Mihawk could resist it. However, if Yu doesn't use all his strength, Mihawk can still withstand 2 attacks, which is impossible to predict. While everyone was discussing, they finally followed Yu to the island. Yu, if you don't have a sword, just use my weapon. Foil Beasta said. Oh, no need for that, Beasta, sword. I have it, Yu said lightly with the corners of his mouth raised. This confused the people around him. Did Yu still use weapons? Why had he never seen him before? Everyone formed a circle, looking forward to the start of the game. Finally, Mihawk took the lead, holding his own supreme sharp sword, Black Blade Knight, with a terrifying fighting spirit rising from his body. After the terrifying momentum broke out, it swept all around in an instant, and the entire island was instantly blown by strong winds. This kind of wind feels very sharp, really like a wind knife, blowing into people's faces, and it actually rises a little. Whitebeard on the side burst out laughing when he saw this scene. Kuhahaha, it's really interesting. Doflamingo on the side was also secretly amazed. Mihawk is worthy of being recognized as the world's #1 swordsman. This terrifying momentum is enough to rank among the world's #1. The Whitebeard pirates also sighed slightly. Judging from the fighting spirit exuded by Mihawk, apart from Yu and Whitebeard, there is really no one who can compare with him. My goal this time is to catch 2 of your moves, Yu. As long as I can catch 2 of your moves, it proves that I am making progress, and I have the possibility of surpassing you. Mihawk licked his own lips, said with great excitement. Just when everyone was surprised by Mihawk's terrifying fighting spirit, and even more terrifying pressure emitted from Yu's body. Chapter 112 Yu has the strongest sword. This terrifying power shocked everyone who was in it. Even the independent island beneath their feet seemed to start to tremble because of the power of Yu conquerors. There were also streaks of lightning in the sky, dark clouds were gathering, and the entire island became dim. The birds and beasts that had been in this area before all roared and fled in all directions. Doflamingo felt this terrifying pressure, his eyes were shocked, and his heart was filled with turmoil, full of deep fear. In the previous war on the top, I was far away from Yu, so I couldn't personally feel the power of Yu. At that time, in the war on the top, I was only surprised by the visual shock that Yu brought to me. But this time, Heavenly Yaksha felt the fear directly, and truly felt the fear. Feeling the powerful conquerors released by Yu at such a close range, sweat broke out on Doflamingo's forehead. This scary guy, just watching the battle, makes me so embarrassed. It seems that my choice of allies this time is really the right one. Doflamingo thought with emotion. The cold sweat on Heavenly Yaksha's forehead hadn't subsided yet, and Pika, who was behind him, shouted with his high-pitched voice. Look, young Master Dover, is that the weapon that Mr. Yu mentioned? What? Doflamingo took a closer look and saw a golden giant sword appearing directly above Yu's head. As soon as the sword came out, the weapons in the hands of the entire crowd of spectators began to tremble unconsciously. One by one, they looked at the weapons in their hands, all showing expressions of surprise and shock. Foil Beasta firmly grasped the sword in his hand, showing an extremely shocked expression. The well-informed Whitebeard was the only one among the group of people who could tell that the giant sword on Yu's head was Yu's Conqueror's incarnation. Did Captain Yu actually get it? Foil Beasta kept swallowing the saliva in his mouth and widened his eyes. So, you can't resist my blow at all, Yu said lightly with the corners of his mouth raised slightly. On the playing field, Yu curled his lips and spoke slowly. It's just, Conqueror's transformation this time seems a little different from before, and Yu's Conqueror's doesn't feel like it this time. What a coincidence, Mihawk. I'm in a hurry right now and don't want to spar with you for too long. Where's the scary kid? Whitebeard said with emotion. This kind of conquerors is so weird that even I, the world's greatest swordsman, am sweating. Mihawk said in surprise after noticing his gaffe. Using gold conquerors for the first time, Yu also started to evaluate it. Don't underestimate me, Yu. Because of you, I have truly become stronger than before. Mihawk roared loudly with a ray of light shooting out of his eyes. A strong hurricane hit instantly, and the trees on the island were uprooted by the attack of the aftermath, and the whole sea boiled. Since the war on the top, Hawkeye Mihawk has used Yu as the illusion target day and night, fighting against the illusion day and night. In the extreme state, he finally broke through himself and understood some things about the next level. In swordsmanship, he even mastered a bit of the moves Yu once explained. Legend has it that there is the most powerful sword in the world. It is called the strongest sword. It is a perverted weapon that surpasses the supreme sword. Mahawk's eyes widened. In his impression, Yi Yu never dodged the enemy's attacks. However, the next moment, the golden conquerors in Yi Yu's body opened, and the area within 100 meters was covered with his own golden conquerors. This terrifying attack instantly brought up strong winds, and the entire sky seemed to be cut open. The dark clouds caused by Yi Yu's terrifying conquerors before were also blown away. Yi Yu smiled slightly, not because he used the flash skill, but because he could move anywhere within the range of his golden conquerors. Moreover, after Whitebeard turned his knowledge to the maximum, he discovered that these conquerors did not turn golden because of some fruit power, but that these conquerors were naturally golden. Mahawk showed a surprised expression, feeling the conquerors around him, and narrowed his eyes. This is the strongest attack I have ever learned. The ultimate sword of freedom. I hope you will give me some advice. Mahawk said with excitement on his face. Feel my progress, Yi Yu. In order to catch up with you, I have been working hard day and night. Mahawk showed a confident expression after releasing his attack. The Golden Conquerors, this is beyond the scope of my cognitive ability. After hearing this, Mahawk was not discouraged at all, but became more motivated to fight. Well, it's really good. Now I have agility, but it does consume some conquerors. It feels like the loss of conquerors is 10 times faster than before. Fortunately, I have the Phoenix Fruit and strong recovery power. With Conqueror's fusion, I can last for a long time. Has he kept his hand before, or has Yi Yu become more powerful than before? Mahawk thought dully. Even Whitebeard rarely showed a shocked expression, but it wasn't the giant sword that shocked Yi Yu. After Mahawk swung this blow, he was obviously a little tired, but his mood at this time was extremely happy. Yi Yu said calmly, rich, but a thick and inexplicable feeling, just like heavy gold. Suddenly, a black slashing wave appeared from the sky, and the slashing sword was so long that it directly occupied half of the sky. But this time, Yi Yu actually showed strong spatial movement ability. After so many days, I have indeed made a breakthrough. I know this better than anyone else. Therefore, Mahawk always felt that this was caused by Yi Yu's insufficient movement speed. After all, Yi Yu, a guy who likes to sleep in, could not notice Yi Yu's physical strength. The next moment, just when Mahawk's attack was about to hit Yi Yu dodged to the other side like a ghost. Chapter 113. Can Yi Yu move in space? The people around him were really shocked. Doflamingo's eyes were round and his mouth seemed to be able to eat a fist. This is, what kind of weird ability? Is it the fruit of surgery? Doflamingo said in surprise. No, not at all, this is much more powerful than the fruit of surgery. Dove, Torebel said in surprise with his nose running. The room of the surgical fruit needs a substitute to complete the teleportation, but Yi Yu just moved in space completely. I can confirm that Yi Yu did not do it because of his fast speed, but because of his direct spatial movement. Ma Zi also said excitedly. This time it exploded again. Space movement. Did Captain Yi Yu eat some space fruit? It's terrible, it's terrible. The defense is so invincible, coupled with the ability of spatial displacement, it is simply impossible to hurt Captain Yi Yu. The combination of these abilities, Captain Yi Yu, can be called an absolute defense. The minions of the Whitebeard pirates were discussing animatedly one by one. Whitebeard still narrowed his eyes and wiped the sweat from his forehead while others were not paying attention. Because I am within 100 meters of Yi Yu's battle site, apart from Hawkeye, I can personally experience Yi Yu's golden conquerors. Being within the range of Yi Yu's golden conquerors, even Whitebeard shed a sweat. This is a conquerors that can make a strong person of the 4 emperors level lose their composure. Extremely scary. Maybe, that spatial ability has something to do with conquerors. Whitebeard said with a strange expression. Dad, are you kidding? Space ability and conquerors are two completely unrelated things. After Marco heard what the white-bearded father said, his expression became even more surprised. Although I don't know the specific reason, the golden conquerors released by Yi Yu are completely different concepts from the previous conquerors. It's not surprising to have weird abilities. Whitebeard said seriously. Gulu, the people around were swallowing their saliva wildly. Although they couldn't hear clearly the golden conquerors introduced by their father, there was one thing they were sure of. That's when Yi Yu's conquerors broke through again and reached a new level. Now Yi Yu is more powerful than Yi Yu in the previous war on the top. His strength is already almost reaching the ceiling, but his progress is still so rapid. This is terrifying. Yi Yu smiled slightly as he opened the golden conquerors. Mahawk, you are not the only one who has improved. Now the truth is revealed, Yi Yu has become stronger again. A strange beast. Next, let me give you a taste of my attack. You are not allowed to disturb me today, Mahawk. Yi Yu said with a smile. The next moment, the golden conquerors fused with the phoenix ability and gathered crazily above his head. Whitebeard's eyes widened. It would be difficult to create even a tiny bit of this terrifying conquerors. Yi Yu actually produced so many. The people around were also shocked. Although they were not within the range of Yi Yu's golden conquerors, they could feel it just by the momentum. Because the attack had not been released yet, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble unconsciously. Does even the earth feel fear? The golden conquerors on Yi Yu's head, which was as heavy as a mountain, turned directly into 100 golden swords under the control of Yi Yu's thoughts, and the sword light was pointed at Mahawk. The powerful aura struck again, and Mahawk's hands began to tremble unconsciously, and even the supreme sharp knife began to tremble. Looking at the 100 golden knives above his head, Mahawk's eyes shone brightly. As this terrifying swordsmanship the 10,000 swords Guizhong you once told me about, Mr. Yi Yu. Come on, Yi Yu, I really didn't expect you to have this trick. Yi Yu clapped his hands and smiled. This time is more terrifying than the last time we had a decisive battle. The tricks you used are even more terrifying. Don't stop him, Marco. As a swordsman, it is my greatest honor to let me fight against this move. The surrounding crew members of the Whitebeard pirates all showed surprised expressions after hearing Whitebeard's words. Ace is very clear about Mihawk's strength. Diamond Josie looked confused. This guy who had previously bet on Yi Yu to defeat Mihawk with 3 moves must have changed his attitude too quickly now. Yi Yu waved his hand towards Marco, but had no intention of stopping. Mihawk's eyes are solemn, and his vision is filled with golden light. Doflamingo's burgundy sunglasses flashed with light, killing Mihawk with one blow. The powerful sword intention rises again in Mihawk's body. This is the courage of a swordsman to regard death as his own. Without this courage, it is difficult to become a super swordsman. Whitebeard, who was watching the battle, looked nervous. Marco on the side realized something at this time and started shouting at Yi Yu. This swordsman, and that crazy guy, if these two people collide, something might happen. Marco said with emotion. Hey, Captain Yi Yu, watch your hands. Mihawk is really going to die. Marco shouted. Hey, Captain Yi Yu, don't use all your strength, you will kill Mihawk. Marco was speechless for a moment and opened his mouth. Mihawk's eyes became brighter after hearing this, replaced by an excited look. Dad is right, this move can kill Hawkeye. Foil Beast's eyes were serious. Above the sky, 100 golden conquerors condensed daggers shot towards Mihawk. It is precisely because I am a swordsman that I can truly feel the powerful fighting spirit. Beasta murmured with trembling lips. Hey, Beasta, what are you talking about? Eagle Eye Mihawk, as the world's greatest swordsman, you are qualified, I pray for you. Beasta faced Mihawk, directly assuming a gesture of transcendence between swordsmen. Hey, Mihawk, don't be brave and surrender. You and I both know that this blow can even kill you. Whitebeard said worriedly. This is too scary. This made Marco on the side instantly speechless. Is Mihawk really going to die? Yes, Mihawk, you have to be careful. Now you actually say that one move can kill Hawkeye. Dad, what are you talking about, that you can kill Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman, with one blow? Ace said with a surprised look on his face. You just made a bet that if you duel like a swordsman, the world's greatest swordsman cannot lose so easily. You can die if you hear it in the morning. Mihawk's face was full of excitement, showing no fear of death. The sky seemed to be scratched, leaving golden traces. Don't show mercy, let me see the power of this move. Mihawk said excitedly. Foil Beasta held the sword in his hand with solemn eyes. Being able to kill the most powerful swordsman in the world with one strike, there is no doubt that he is invincible in this world. Chapter 114 Absolute Attack, Absolute Defense, Integrated. But the dagger in the sky showed no intention of stopping. It was getting closer and closer to Mihawk. Mihawk's eyes widened. At this moment, his heart seemed to be on a roller coaster. Is this the Thousand Swords returning sect that Mr. Yi Yu once explained? This move is really powerful when used by Mr. Yi Yu. Although I have tried my best to defend, but I still can't stop this terrifying 10,000 swords returning sect. Death doesn't matter. As a swordsman, being killed by this kind of sword move is a supreme honor. It's a pity that I can never discuss the art of swordsmanship with Mr. Yi Yu again. Thinking of this, Mihawk wrote a big word, death, in front of his face. No one can break this move. Even Mihawk, the world's leading swordsman, can only close his eyes and quietly wait for death. Just like that, everyone froze in place, opening their mouths wide, swallowing saliva, watching this scene. Time seemed to freeze at this moment, and everyone held their breath at this moment. Everyone understood at this moment that Mihawk, the sword madman, was going to die for his swordsmanship. Suddenly, Yi Yu disappeared out of thin air. When the dagger in the sky was only 1 meter away from Mihawk, Yi Yu suddenly appeared in front of Mihawk. The next moment, 100 golden daggers all shot at Yi Yu's own Golden Conqueror's barrier. Above the Golden Conqueror's barrier, waves rippled, making a huge buzzing sound of iron. Yi Yu's whole body exploded, and the ground beneath his feet cracked, and finally collapsed. The reason why Mihawk was not injured is because Yi Yu activated his mysterious spatial displacement ability at the critical moment. Monster, I originally killed Mihawk with 1 blow, but successfully silenced Mihawk, because Mihawk went to his dormitory alone to study the return of 10,000 swords. After hearing Yi Yu's words, Mihawk smiled. Yi Yu has now become his savior. It seems that he owes Yi Yu a lot of kindness. Speaking of which, I have to thank you. If you hadn't killed Mihawk with 1 move, I really wouldn't have made so much money, ha ha ha. In this way, Yi Yu, surrounded by the Whitebeard pirates, kept talking to each other without any silence. The only person in this world who can resist Yi Yu's attack is Yi Yu. Doflamingo said with emotion. What a scary guy. How can he withstand such a terrifying attack? A man who combines absolute attack and absolute defense. Ace said in shock. Although it seems that the island still exists on the outside, the deep foundation of the island has been damaged. It won't be long before the entire island collapses and falls into the sea. Yi Yu made a cool gesture directly towards Mihawk and slowly opened his mouth. Mihawk slowly opened his eyes. He couldn't believe that Yi Yu could resist all such terrifying attacks. Only then did everyone react and sail away from the island with Yi Yu, Mihawk and others. Although no one could see Yi Yu, the discussion surrounding Yi Yu continued. Captain Yi Yu, even the world's greatest swordsman was instantly killed by you with one move. You are really terrifying, Marco said, not at all trying to flatter him, but from the bottom of his heart. Admire. Returning to the base camp of the Whitebeard pirates, Yi Yu didn't say anything, and while everyone was not paying attention, he quickly slipped into his dormitory, fell on the bed and started to rest. That's because Empress Hancock just missed this exciting battle because she was cleaning up Yi Yu's room, and is now curiously inquiring about this battle. Only Yi Yu can do this kind of operation. Whitebeard Edward Newgate said with emotion. Okay, but I will continue to discuss swordsmanship with you tomorrow. Mahawk said with relief, raising the corners of his mouth slightly. Really, Mahawk, are you saying that Yi Yu can actually defeat you with one move? But you don't seem to have any injuries on your body. Hancock asked suspiciously. Marco even ran directly to Yi Yu and put his hand on Yi Yu's shoulder. Since it's not clear yet, so be it. Not only did he teach himself to go further and further in the way of swordsmanship, but now he also became his savior. I am afraid that he will never be able to repay him in his lifetime. And these pirates are naturally happy to tell this exciting game for the most beautiful woman in the pirate world. Now the entire island is full of land destroyed by Yi Yu's golden conquerors. It seems to have been renovated. The sword waves of those golden conquerors directly penetrated the island. Even on the boat, Yi Yu could not rest peacefully. At this moment, everyone was shocked by Yi Yu's attack, and they were all discussing intensely. Yi Yu directly gave Marco a look of boredom. With these guys here, it seems that he will not be able to live peacefully tonight. He probably will have to drink until 1 or 2 in the morning today. Yi Yu, Mahawk said. Let's go. I'll buy you a drink no matter what. This is a million Baileys, ha ha ha. Marco said excitedly. That's because you don't know, Hancock, Yi Yu did unleash the terrifying blow. Even Father Whitebeard said that he might not be able to withstand those golden daggers. Don't even look at it. Hurry up and sail away. This island will disappear soon. Yi Yu said to the stunned Whitebeard pirates who were standing around. Hey, I don't like fighting and killing the most. Why can't I just be a quiet otaku? Yi Yu said with emotion, then took out 2 cotton plugs and stuffed them into his ears, and went to sleep quietly. Hey, Mahawk, I won again this time, you can't pester me anymore today. Yi Yu said calmly. Yi Yu was speechless, but fortunately he could be quiet today. Just when the dense golden daggers in the sky were about to penetrate Mahawk, Captain Yi Yu appeared strangely in front of Mahawk and protected him from the damage. Marco danced and his face flushed with excitement. However, the members of the Whitebeard pirates seemed to be even more agitated after seeing themselves defeating the world's greatest swordsman with one blow. Just when they were less than 2 kilometers away from the island, the entire island collapsed. Chapter 115 World United Army, against Yi Yu. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. Yes, Marco is right. The pirates of the Whitebeard pirates and even Doflamingo all testified to what Marco said. Mahawk also had a serious look on his face, and it was obvious that these people were not lying at all. Empress Hancock was left with a shocked face and her red lips widened. I really didn't expect that Yi Yu could kill the world's greatest swordsman with just one move. If you put it like that, Mr. Yi Yu, I'm afraid even rocks can defeat him. Empress Hancock said in shock as she turned her beautiful eyes. Yi Yu naturally didn't know all this, because Yi Yu had already entered a dream at this time. At the same time, World Government, New World Headquarters, Kaido, Big Mom, Sengoku and other marine executives had a rare opportunity to sit together. This meeting was chaired by Gang Gukong. According to the wishes of the 5 elders, after the world conscription is completed, we can attack Yi Yu. At that time, the war compensation Yi Yu received will be returned to us in double. Gang Gukong said, clenching his fists. In order to deal with Yi Yu, we will unite all the forces that can be combined. Before the world conscription is completed, we have re-established new Shichibukai. These Shichibukai, like you, will be our most important help. Sengoku also introduced. Oh, Kaido and Big Mom on the side looked surprised. They really wanted to see the new Shichibukai. Finally, 7 characters slowly appeared. The first man completely shocked them. He was holding a big knife similar to a Whitebeard and had a beard similar to a Whitebeard. He was tall, fat, ugly, with mucus always flowing out of his nose, and had thick lips. Mom, am I really Whitebeard's son? Was it Yi Yu who abducted Whitebeard's father? I must kill Yi Yu and rescue Whitebeard. This person is Whitebeard too, and a person following him claims to be Whitebeard I's mother, Miss Ba Jin. He has thick red lips, sunglasses, and a cane. He is short in stature, has wrinkles on his face, and is wearing a leopard print coat. The corners of his mouth are trembling slowly. Silly boy, mother, can I still lie to you? If you see Yi Yu, you must kill him. After saying that, Miss Ba Jin showed a proud look to Warring States. It means that as long as he has his own orders, Whitebeard too will absolutely obey him. Sengoku also smiled slightly. In order to win over this Whitebeard second, Marine spent a lot of money this time. Miss Ba Jin, this greedy woman, just let Whitebeard too participate in the war, and she got a full 2 billion belly for herself. If he hadn't been concerned that Whitebeard too had the power of young Whitebeard, and that the money was personally paid by the celestial dragons, he wouldn't have let this greedy woman get involved. After Whitebeard 2 sat down, Kaido and Bigman began to look at each other. The woman just now said that he was Whitebeard's son, and they did look somewhat similar. Moreover, although this Whitebeard 2 is not very easy to use, they can still feel the aura of the beast. In this case, another point will be added to Yiyu's winning rate. After Whitebeard 2 and Miss Bajan sat down, Shichibukai appeared one after another. The first thing that caught the eye was the huge body of the wolf. The entire marine office trembled because of the arrival of the wolf. Even because its body was too huge, the wolf could only participate in the meeting with its head raised on the outside of the marine building. Meeting. It turns out it's these guys. Needless to say, I've already guessed the following ones. Kaido murmured. This time, the world government has really united all the forces that can be united. In addition to itself and Charlotte Linlin, even the criminals from the great prison under the sea have been roped in. Then, just as Kaido said, some people came out one after another. These people were unkempt, and some were wearing prison uniforms from the great prison under the sea. It was the evil wolf, the big wine barrel, the crescent moon hunter, and the evil king who were hurt by Yiyu before. The four people came out with ferocious faces, and their hatred for Yiyu could be seen from their expressions. Especially the big wine barrel, he still has a cannula inserted into his lungs. Without that in the cannula, he would die immediately. The internal organs of these four people have been completely destroyed by Yiyu. The reason why they are still living in this world is entirely because of Vegapunk. Their internal organs have now been replaced with machine organs, and they can already be called half-cyborgs. In addition to their internal organs, Vegapunk has also modified their attack methods, and now they have a variety of mechanical abilities. A-hole, Yiyu, I will definitely kill him with my own hands. Warring States Fleet Admiral, hurry up and give the order to kill that guy Yiyu. The nine-tails fox with a long nose said with a ferocious expression. Yes, kill Yiyu and avenge us. The evil king who had half of his face modified also said fiercely. As long as I can kill Yiyu, I will pay any price, even my life. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* and Beryl also had a ferocious face. Seeing the anger of these four people, Sengoku, Kaido and others showed expressions of satisfaction. The world government needs such dead soldiers. There is no need to worry about this. Our world government's conscription will be completed in advance in a few days. When the world conscription ends, it will be time for us to launch an attack and eliminate EU. Warring States' glasses reflected a white streak. Light said gloomily. Everyone present has a huge hatred for EU. Naturally, they want to deal with EU quickly. The last Shichibukai also appeared, and the cold voice came first. HMPH, hey, Shichibukai's privileges are indeed more suitable for me than pirates and marines. A man wearing a black uniform and a police hat appeared, took out a white handkerchief, and kept wiping the black knife Lei-Yu in his hand. Shiryu of Rain. The people around looked surprised. I remember that during the war, you joined EU's forces. Kaido narrowed his eyes and said suspiciously. The other four prisoners also looked confused. Shiryu of Rain, what's going on with you? We clearly remember that you followed EU back then. Hearing the confused voices of the people around him, Shiryu of the Rain inserted the sword Lei-Yu into the scabbard and sat upright on the seat next to the round table in the conference room. Heh, when I promised EU, I was just repaying his favor. I never said I would follow EU. Shiryu said with a crooked corner of his mouth. The four prisoners nodded. This was true. Yu said at the beginning that he would save them just to let them participate in the war on top to help him defeat Marine. He had no intention of recruiting them to join the Whitebeard pirates.